The Town of Burlington will be holding the July 16th, 2026 meeting as a hybrid meeting. The governor issued an executive order on March 12th, 2020, authorizing remote meetings under General Law Code 30A, Section 20, and extended Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, including permitting remote meetings and participation until June 30th, 2027.
As always, members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting, but note that while an option for remote attendance is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast. If you're seeking to participate remotely, you can go to the URL townofburlington.webex.com. Our meeting number is 2337-901-9380. You can join us via WebEx on the phone at 617-315-0704. If you're looking to participate online, please raise your hand using WebEx, and staff will send you a request to unmute at the appropriate time. We are being recorded by BCAT and on Comcast 6, Astound 15, Verizon 41, and this broadcast will be uploaded to the BCAT YouTube government page within 24 hours of this meeting.
Great, thank you. We have a few continuances on the agenda tonight. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7.7L, 7M, and 7N out of order for discussion purposes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You want a
Oh,
second?
I'm sorry, yes, I'd like a
second.
second. I guess we can go that first. Second?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item E is a public hearing, application for approval of a site plan, 129, 131 Middlesex Turnpike, Northwest Park, Building 34 LLC, and Building 35 LLC is the applicant. Item F is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 4.3.1.8, swimming pool, the zoning bylaws, 129, 131 Middlesex Turnpike, NWP Building 34 LLC, and NWP Building 35 LLC is the applicant. Item G is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 4.3.119, residential garage for more than 3 automobiles of the zoning bylaws, 129, 131 Middlesex Turnpike, NWP Building 34 LLC, and NWP Building 35 LLC is the applicant.
Point of order, are those
Not.
CFG, EFG, or are they
They are
LMN?
They're
Okay.
LMN in
Okay.
our posted agenda.
And the next one is also O.
Okay, so let's modify those as LMN, not EFG.
Okay.
Thank you. Staff, can you please provide an update on these matters?
Sure. So this particular project is the Norblum project for multifamily housing in our MBTA Communities Overlay District. If you recall, the board requested a peer review, and we have received a response from the peer review, and I've sent it over to Norblum and their team, and we are awaiting their response. They have not provided a response to the peer review, so we're waiting on that. There are some other items, EV test pits that are still upcoming, so they have requested a continuance.
Great. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue these items to the planning board meeting of August 6, 2026, as requested by the applicant's attorney in a letter dated July 15th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to make a motion to take item 7O out of order for discussion purposes.
All those in favor?
We need a
Second.
Oh, don't,
Okay.
we got a big agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item O is a continued public hearing, application for approval of a site plan, 85 Wilmington Road. Gandhi is the applicant.
Sure, so updates with that, this is Plaza 62, and similar to our previous application, this is also undergoing a peer review. They are just starting. We've contacted a peer review consultant, and we're getting started with the process.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to continue this item to the planning board meeting of August 6, 2026, as requested by the applicant's attorney in a letter dated July 9th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on. Moving on to public participation. Is there anyone in the audience or online who's here to speak on an item that is not currently on the agenda? You'll be given a maximum of 2 minutes to speak. We ask that you sign in on the sheet of paper provided if you are in person and state your name for the public record, regardless of whether you're in person or online. Seeing no one. Announcements.
The Wynn Street paving project is wrapping up, and the final paving is expected to take place tomorrow, which is July 17th. And if you do have any questions, please contact the DPW at 781-270-1640. To sign up for town alerts, such as Wynn Street paving and when that might be happening, please go to the town website for our residents alerts, and you can enter your information on how you want to receive those alerts in the future. The Burlington Public Library is hosting a Celebrate America 250 event series all next week, with July 20th through the 25th. There will be free performances, films, and more. Monday night, there will be American History Virtual Trivia Night, which will begin at 7 p.m., and that'll be all virtual. To sign up, you can click a link on the town calendar or on the library website. The Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps is recruiting, and those who are interested should call 781-270-1955. Senior affordable home ownership opportunities at Grandview Commons, and the applications are due Wednesday, July 22nd. To learn more, please go to burlington.org/affordable-housing.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Yes, Madam Chair, the Public Arts Committee is very happy to announce that through its fundraising efforts, we were able to purchase Edwin the Hungry Dragon. So he is now going to be a permanent member of the Burlington Sculpture Walk, and we're very happy to have him here permanently in Burlington.
Great, thank you, congratulations. Thank you. We do not have any legal notices, nor non-approvals, nor administrative matters. So I just want to start and say our original agenda had a presentation from Eversource regarding the new substation and distribution project. That presentation will not occur tonight. We'll have a brief discussion and update at the end of the meeting, but we're putting a little bit of a pause before they present in front of us again. That being stated, let's move on to matters of appointment. Item 7A is a public hearing, rezoning of property located at 49 Middlesex Turnpike, map 57 to 63 to the General Industrial IG Overlay District, submitted by DDM Property Group. Good evening. Who's
Good
here?
evening.
May I have your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Sam Alfronti. I'm a registered engineer in the Commonwealth. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, DDM Property Group. I'm with Solely Engineering. Our office is in Quincy, Mass.
Could you pull the microphone a little closer?
Absolutely. Is it on?
Thank you.
Thank you. If you wouldn't
Is that
mind
better?
starting over again?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My name is Sam Alfronti. I'm a registered engineer in the Commonwealth. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, DDM Property Group, and I'm with Solely Engineering. Our office is in Quincy, Mass. at Crown Colony.
Great.
If I may, I can go through. I have a quick presentation.
Just first, before you start, I'd just like to know if staff would like to start off.
So this is a property that most people in town know as Ned's Towing, and so they're looking to retire and sell the property. So in conjunction with the property owners, the potential new property owners, they're looking to rezone this property. And they came to us with a proposal. They're looking to go from the General Industrial District to the General Business District. The parcel is surrounded by General Business District, so it's not spot zoning. And we said, this is a great use. I think that town meeting would accept it, so have at it. We'll help you get through the process with town meeting to make sure that the property gets rezoned so that you can do what you want to do with it.
Great, thank you. I'd love to hear what you have to say, sir.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the applicant's DDM Property Group. Danny Hanoush is the managing partner, and his family owns the Hanoush Jewelry retail store brand. So that's the intent of this zone change. They've identified this property as kind of a piece of the market that they'd like to have a store. So if you go to the next slide, Caleb. So the zoning article that we're asking consideration on, it was before the zoning bylaw review committee last week on Wednesday. And they had a very minor revision to the article. It was just a wording of be added to the article. Otherwise, the intent of the rezoning is to, as Elizabeth mentioned, change it from the general industrial zone to the general business zoning district, which on all three sides north of Middlesex Turnpike, it is zoned similarly to that. So if we go to the next slide, it gives you a visual of the existing zoning map, and then I have the proposed zoning map. So this is an exhibit that we have here. The pink shows the general industrial zones, and then the red shows the general business zones. So it's relatively straightforward in our perspective. And the intended use is a low-intensity use. The property is rather unique. It's pretty small. It's 0.45 acres. So without the rezoning, redevelopment of the property as an industrial property that small really limits the use potential for the property and the redevelopment of it. So it's definitely something that, in my eyes, I think it's a good reuse of the property and allows it to be redeveloped for a common use. So.
Great. Thank you. I agree with you. I think this is a pretty straightforward application. Just as a reminder, if town meeting does decide that this is worthy of changing the zoning, that these folks will be in front of us for a site plan and review going forward. So we don't really need to get into the logistics of what's being built at this point in time. I think it's putting the cart before the horse. Do any of my planning board members have any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing no one. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone out in the public that has any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing no one.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I would further like to make a motion to recommend favorably on the petition to amendment to Article 9, Administration and Procedures, Section 9.1.3, penalty, and 9.1.4. No, I'm reading the wrong thing.
Page 4.
Okay, sorry. Where am I going?
Here,
Oh,
right here.
okay. Thank you, sorry about that. I thought it sounded odd. It sounded very odd.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
Sorry about that. I'd like to make a motion to recommend favorably on the petition to rezone property located at 49 Middlesex Turnpike, map 56 to 63, to the General Industrial Overlay District submitted by DDM Property Group.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening,
Thank
sir.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's summer. This is the relaxed meeting. Right? Efficient but relaxed. Item 7B is a public hearing amendment to Article 11, Article 9, Administrative and Procedures, Section 9.1.3, Penalty, and 9.1.4, Request for Endorsement of the zoning bylaws to create a violation section submitted by the Planning Board. Who's here on behalf of this item?
I can speak to this item. So we were speaking with there were some issues that needed to be enforced, and we were...
We all know. who
I'm
you are.
sorry.
Nobody
Lisa
knows
Mead,
who
Town
you are.
Council. So the building inspector was speaking to the town administrator, myself, about some problems he was having doing enforcement. And so I had never had the opportunity to read the enforcement section of the zoning bylaw before. So I pulled it out, and in my head, I was like, well, why do you have a problem doing this enforcement? So then I read the enforcement section, and which shows me why he was having an enforcement problem. So I brought it to Liz's attention. Liz did change it. I'm not sure, Liz, you want to talk about how the origins of some of your changes were? I gave her some examples of different bylaws, and then I made a final modification to it, and ultimately, this now can be enforced either through cease and desist, criminal disposition, or non-criminal disposition. And so, which means he can enforce with fines, daily fines. So it gives the building inspector a lot more authority to do enforcement and have people actually listen to him, and then have us be able to follow up in court if they don't.
Great, thank you.
So Lisa sent me some language. This is actually language that I think many towns, I would argue, use. Our previous penalty was $50, so we're going to $300 is, I think, an okay thing, given the way things are now. But this came to light specifically because of, Airbnbs and VRBOs and trying to enforce those types of things, which are illegal in town. And it's like playing whack-a-mole. So we want to give our building inspector all of the tools that we can to make sure that that our bylaws are enforced.
Great. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, just one comment is, $50 is way too low. Glad it's adjusting to 300. Is there a mechanism to reevaluate that 300 down the road so it doesn't sit there and become very outdated and not be a deterrent in the future?
Right now, under non-criminal disposition, the statute limits the penalty at $300.
Okay.
So the statute would have to change in order to change this.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, it's $300 per day. It's not $300 per instance. So
Right.
Per
it
offense.
well, it's not per offense. It's per offense per day.
Per day.
So if somebody had an Airbnb at their home, they'd get, charged $300, $300, $300 if they were there for a 3-day
If
stay.
there's 2 offenses, it's 300 and 300 each day.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Is anyone else?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on this. And I know it's directed towards Airbnbs.
No, it's not. It's directed to any offense. He's had problems getting his enforcements listened to. So it happened to be raised because of an issue with regarding Airbnb, which brought my attention to the section. But the section is woefully inadequate to have the building inspector enforce your zoning.
Okay, so, because reading this through, we're talking about occupancy permits, and somebody moves in without an occupancy permit. So when I'm reading this, I'm not thinking of the Airbnbs, I'm thinking of construction.
Different animal. So the building inspector enforces at least two different codes. He enforces the zoning bylaw, which would be, for example, if I put an addition on and it was in the rear yard setback and I didn't get permission and I told you to come in and get a permit and you didn't come in and get a permit, or I was using the property that was in violation of zoning. Those are zoning changes. He then also enforces under the building code. That's construction and occupancy permits. That's dealt separately from this.
So this has nothing to do with construction, nothing to do with occupancy permits, and is entirely related to a building that's already there, somebody not following the rules for what that building is supposed to be used for.
Or a building that's being constructed, but being constructed in violation of a planning or zoning permit.
Okay, so if the building is being constructed in violation of a zoning or planning permit, then the building department has 2 enforcement actions. And so the building department aspect of it would be the construction side, and the zoning aspect of it would be this.
That's correct.
Okay. And so like I said, when I was reading this, I was looking at it from the construction perspective,
Yeah.
where then I don't even need to worry about that. Then the only thing that I would change would be the first paragraph, reasonable. What's reasonable? I think we need a timeline in there for reasonable. Get rid of the ambiguity.
Where,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th line down on the first paragraph. And I think Betsy said something about promptly.
Within a reasonable time, yeah.
well, what we're saying is at the discretion of the building inspector. So, I think, let me give you 2 examples. Let's say that one example is, let's take the Airbnb. It's a use, right?
Yep.
And he's going out there and he says, you need to stop this. And that you can stop immediately, right? So he says, you need to stop it within 3 days, otherwise you're going to start getting penalties. That's reasonable, right? Now, let's say he's driving by somewhere and he sees somebody is constructing a home in violation of their permit. They've gone too far into the setback. The only way to remedy that is, one, to stop, and two, to come in and get a modification, right? So that takes a lot more time to remedy. And so if they stop and come in and get a modification, that would be reasonable for him not to apply penalty.
Right, but isn't the stop different than the modification? Because now the modification becomes a construction issue?
No, modification of a permit in here, not modification of a building permit, modification of a site plan review, or a zoning permit, or a variance, or a special permit. Those are different items. So he needs to have some discretion, I think, based upon the situation. And again, this is not construction under the building code.
Okay.
Right.
But if he stops,
Right.
so if he stops, but then if he stops doing what he's doing.
Right.
But then he takes longer to come before us for the variance,
Mm-hmm.
then does stopping stop the action?
Yep.
But he waits 6 months to come here. Is there a mechanism in there? Yeah, we told you to stop, but you're still out of code with this. Is there another mechanism in there that would allow us to say?
For him to remedy the.
To remedy it.
Right.
It
Yeah,
must
I
be
mean.
remedied within X amount of time.
Right, but, I mean, I think, in my opinion, given the varied circumstances that occurs, I think you really need to have the building inspector have that ability to use his discretion. Because it could be something easy that's remedied easily, and it could be something really difficult that stopping is okay, and it takes an entire redesign. Maybe it's in December, and you have to have a new survey, and you can't get the survey done, so you're not back in here until March or April. That's a different circumstance. There's a lot of different variables.
I agree with that, and I think that is reasonable. No, unintended.
So that's the purpose.
Well, given the fact that, there's so many different variables that are going to come into play.
Right.
So we can't denote, it's 3 to 5 days to remedy, because in construction, you don't know exactly if it's going to be 3 to 5 days, if it's an Airbnb versus with the, construction or anything in between. Everything has a different timeline.
Right, but I don't necessarily want to, there's a couple of issues. One is the stoppage.
The stop is, you're not doing
You're
what you're
stopped.
supposed to be doing. Stop.
You're stopped.
That's a
right?
hard no.
Right, so that stops, so that's essentially stops the violation.
Well, it could
Stops
still
the
exist.
violation, but the intent is still
It stops the
there.
existence, it stops the ongoing creation of the violation, but if it's something that's constructed, the violation is ongoing until it's removed.
Okay, so then they pay the fine?
Well,
That's up to the building inspector.
This actually gives the building inspector more teeth.
Discretion.
Right.
So that he can go in and do his job. Because right now, if you said to me $50 a day when I'm getting $500 a day for an Airbnb or whatever construction process, given the fact of, the valuations of Burlington, real estate, $50 a day is nothing.
No, I'm not, I understand it's giving the building inspector more teeth. The only thing I'm trying to do is remove any ambiguity so that the fine is there and there's no argument that says, well, no, it's not reasonable. Yes, it is reasonable. No, it's not.
But that's the building,
Sort of,
so it's the building inspector is the only entity that can enforce the bylaw, can enforce your permits, can enforce the zoning board permits, and he has that discretion based upon the situation in front of him. And he needs to have the ability to be flexible. Otherwise, not every situation is the same.
I would also say that to consider every situation along with seasonality, you would come up with essentially a massive rate table with extreme complexity.
Exactly.
And then when things fall outside of that, there's no mechanism, hence the reasonable, that would allow you to adjust for it. And I think if it seemed like an unreasonable penalty, there'd be an argument by the person who's violating that to be able to say, this isn't reasonable because it's winter, I can't get this measured, right?
Right.
You could come back and argue it.
But ultimately,
I also
it's the
think-
building inspector's determination.
Right,
Exactly.
right, right. And the stop stops it from continuing until you fix it. But if they tell you to stop, you don't, I think you're in violation. You start getting hit with that penalty every day till you do stop, and then you can start that process.
Well, and if you're in the middle of construction, you're losing a lot of other kinds of money.
Yes.
Right.
Each day the construction stopped, the
Right.
guy's losing money. So
Right.
there is a penalty in there, we're just not collecting it.
Right.
Right, there's an opportunity cost and there's a monetary
Right.
fine as well.
I feel like we're ganging up on you, and I apologize, my
No,
friend, but
that's-
let's, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, I disagree with the word reasonable in there. And
okay.
we could-
Maybe you could be
That's
reasonable.
reasonable.
You guys could be reasonable and agree with me.
All right, let's move forward. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else that anyone else would like to discuss in this matter? This is a public hearing. As a reminder, if somebody wants to speak, they have 2 minutes to do so. We ask that you sign in on the sheet of paper provided in front of, in the front desk. If you are online, please state your name, and is there anyone who would like to speak?
See no one online.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would further like to make a motion to recommend favorably on the petition to amendment to Article 9, Administration and Procedures, Section 9.1.3, Penalty, and 9.1.4, Request for Enforcement of the zoning bylaws to create a violations section submitted by the Planning Board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Fine.
Okay.
I appreciate your reasonableness. Thank you, Council.
Oh, hers was all wrong.
Okay, let's move forward to item 70. Item 70 is a public hearing amendment to Article 2, definitions of the zoning bylaws by adding a definition of wall art, which, Go back to
The 7C, I think you want.
I apologize, folks.
Page 5, single-sided next time, I apologize.
Killing me. Item 7C is a public hearing amendment to Article 2 definitions and R4 use regulations of the zoning bylaws to clarify use related to household pets submitted by the planning board. I just want to note that we've talked about Ollie's Law a good amount of time, and I think it's a wonderful concept. I've asked staff to put together a very quick table for us to review should there be any questions, comments, or concerns, because I think it's, I don't want to say beat a dead horse, because that's so bad.
Puppy to death.
Because this is a puppy. Because we're
I
talking
know.
about puppies,
So
right?
I'm going to run through this quickly. Keep going. So again, Ollie's Law, updating definitions, adding definitions to the use table. The use table is the same as what was proposed in May. One of the things that was brought up at the Land Use Committee, which I thought was really well put, and I took it into consideration to add it, was that the definition of pet shop. So one of the people on the Land Use Committee didn't like the fact that a pet shop is a by right use if they're selling dogs and cats, because dogs and cats, there's puppy mill issues and then also like waste issues, and so, there was a concern there. So what I chose to do was I added a new definition of pet shop. It used to say sale of domestic animals such as dogs, cats, fish, birds, and now it is domestic animals such as small mammals, fish, birds, reptiles, etc. And then there's a second paragraph that says the sale of dogs and cats is prohibited. A pet shop may provide space for the display of cats or dogs available for adoption by public animal control or shelter or rescue organization. So this is put in because Petco and PetSmart, a lot of them do pet adoption drives where they'll partner with a shelter, and they want to have space in there to do that, but it specifically says that they cannot collect any money for those animals that are on display.
Just one quick question that kind of comes to mind is they can't collect money for those pets, but they do, even when you adopt, it's my understanding, and don't get me wrong, I haven't adopted an animal in quite some time. Don't you have to pay for vaccinations and things of that nature? Is that included in this pay?
So that's a separate thing. So the animals are there under the control of a shelter. So if you were to adopt them, you would go through the shelter and you would pay for vaccinations, spay, neuter, all that stuff through the shelter. It wouldn't be through the pet shop itself. The pet shop is there just to have a display case space for the animals so that you can meet them and hopefully they find a forever home, right? So-
Awesome, thank you for your
Yeah.
clarification. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I thought I heard in the news something happened up in Beacon Hill within the past few days on this issue.
I did not see anything.
Okay.
I haven't heard. If I
I
don't know.
only caught piece of it, so
I will definitely look into it. We already have the public notice out, so I
Can't change it.
But if we do find something else out, I will, you'll see this again in January.
I can't wait.
I know, right?
If you could circle back either way.
Yeah,
just kinda let us know if there's any, that way we all know whether or not there's a need to withdraw.
Absolutely.
So is there now no longer an option for a person to sell a dog? If their dog has 6 puppies and they want to, where in here can they do that?
Sure, so I can show you. So, and use is normally accessory to a principal, residential principal uses. So if you live in your house and you breed Shelties, and you have a litter of Shelties, you fall under kennel, licensed personal. And so you are able to sell dogs out of your home if you are a breeder. So that is how, and that is an allowed use in the RO district. So that's a yes in the RO district.
Okay, so then what's the difference between the licensed personal, more than 4 dogs, and up to 6 dogs? Is there confusion nestled in there somewhere?
Hopefully not. So the kennel licensed commercial. So this is a new definition and it's through Ollie's Law. Anybody that is taking money for watching or caring for somebody else's dog or dogs needs to be licensed with the town as a commercial kennel.
Can that person sell dogs?
No. Because you are watching, you're pet sitting your neighbor's 5 dogs. I'm so
I feel like we should have some background music
sorry.
or something.
I'm sorry. So let's start from the beginning. Okay, so licensed commercial boarding or training. This is really the essence of Ollie's Law, which is there were animals that were going to kennels, and the kennels weren't, they had 100 dogs to one person, all kinds of issues, animals losing their lives. And so this is the state's attempt to say, if you are watching anybody's dog for money, you need to be licensed with the animal control officer and the town clerk as a commercial kennel. So that's the basis of the law. So here, a licensed commercial boarding training kennel. So under retail consumer trade uses, if your principal use is that you are in the commercial district and you have a doggy daycare, you need to license yourself with the clerk and the animal control officer, and the animal control officer can go and check out your kennel and make sure that you meet all the requirements. And
But you can't sell dogs?
No.
from that. The only place to then sell the dog,
It would be under a nonprofit if you were a nonprofit.
Like a shelter.
Like a shelter. correct.
or out of your house?
A
Yes.
personal breeder.
A personal
Personal
breeder.
breeder.
Correct.
And is there a maximum number of dogs a personal breeder can have?
Yeah.
We have a minimum, which is 4.
There's a maximum number of
Oh.
dogs a person can have in their home before they need to be licensed as a kennel. I think it's 4.
Yep. And these numbers, the up to 6 and the 4, that is in the general bylaw based upon the policy of how many you can have and how much it costs to license yourself.
So any person can have 4 dogs or fewer
Yep.
in their home, whether they're breeding them or not. But you get dog number 5, you have to register as a kennel.
in that kennel. So if they have less than 4 dogs, less than 5 dogs, are they free to sell them?
No. Well, your own, if you're a breeder in your own house, yes.
Are you selling dogs?
I was going to ask if he had a secret puppy organization.
Because
we've talked about this
17 times.
If you have your own dogs and you have puppies, you can sell your puppies out of your house.
If
You can't go and procure puppies from elsewhere and be selling them out of your house.
Greg, if you got a pregnant dog and it has 8 puppies, the dog is in violation of the law.
We've talked about this so
You're
many
gonna find the
times.
dog?
If you have new questions, I'm confused if you're doing something in the back end.
No,
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure that we don't have,
Promiscuous dogs in town?
no,
I mean, I'm
no
You
misunderstanding.
just want to make sure that there aren't any unintended consequences.
Right.
Correct.
Right, you know, Petco isn't selling dogs, or PetSmart isn't selling dogs.
Right.
Great. The kennel that boards them for commercial purposes can't sell
Nope.
dogs.
Right.
Nope.
The kennel personally can sell dogs once you get more than 4.
Yep.
Right? They have to have more than 4.
No.
Yeah.
No,
It says more than 4.
to be a kennel, but if
to
you
be
just
kennel.
have
That's
one
what I just said, a
dog
kennel.
and she gets knocked up by the spaniel down the street, you can sell the puppies.
Yeah, and that's what that is for. That's
Right.
what, yes, that's what.
Okay, are we done?
But
We're not
where
going to
there
talk
is
about the
that?
cats in the neighborhood.
Where is that in?
No, can I?
Yes.
Please,
Thank you.
please.
So the purpose is, most of this is around licensing, right? So under kennels, licensed personal kennels, more than 4 dogs. If you have less than that, you can do whatever you want. That's the point. You can, if you have less than 4 dogs, it's like your own private business. You're allowed, not business meaning, but it's your own private information, right? It doesn't matter. But if you have more, then you're allowed to be regulated and licensed. That's the issue.
You're required to be a regulator.
Correct.
Not allowed, okay, required, okay. Fair enough.
You good? Anything about cats?
Well, the cats aren't mentioned at all.
Good, all right.
If you really want to go down that
No.
road, we can.
You want to discuss chickens?
They have best nerves.
I'm teasing, my friend. All right. Is there anyone else on the board that has any questions, comments, or concerns?
None more confused than when we started.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or online that has any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing no one, may I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Greg?
I was,
So I can update you on what happened on Beacon Hill. Is that, right? Let me preface it by saying I Googled it, okay? But apparently, yesterday, the sweeping animal welfare and pet equity bill was passed by the House. It has not been passed in the Senate. That's what you heard.
we don't know what
That's-
that's
okay.
going to
I have no idea what that
Okay,
was.
so let's keep an eye on that, and if something changes, then we'll circle back.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to recommend favorably on the petition to amend Article 2 definitions and articles 4, use regulations of the zoning bylaws to clarify uses related to household pets, submitted by the planning board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. I just want to make note, there was a couple of people who joined prior to my first announcement with Eversource that we are not going, Eversource is not going to be presented this evening, and that there is going to be a discussion at the end. It's a very minimal discussion. There's not a whole heck of a lot to talk about because we haven't really had a ton of progress. So I just want to make note of that in case that changes.
Is there a date where they're going to be coming before the planning board?
So right now, sir, there's not, but you will be notified, and I can give you a quick Cliff Notes. The Select Board and Planning Board will be forming a committee. We'll be meeting together, and the intent, after speaking with the chair of the Select Board, we'll be meeting together with Eversource as a joint meeting.
So it doesn't have anything to do with these guys.
So that, we have a unified approach for the community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't want you to wait here all night, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Too many dog and gerbil jokes for people to sit around. All right, let's move forward. Item D is a public hearing, amendment to Article 2, definitions of the zoning bylaws by adding a definition of Walmart, not Walmart, Walmart.
Walmart.
Submitted by the planning board.
All right, let me get it up. Patience, thank you. Okay, so I can take this, and I'm hoping that Member LaRue can kind of help talk about this a little bit. So let me share my screen. So this is a new definition that we are proposing to add to the zoning bylaw because there has been a lot of discussions about what is a sign, what is a mural, what is wall art. And right now, it leaves a lot of discretion up to the building inspector about what is a sign versus what is a mural, and it's not very clear. And so this is going to hopefully help all of us to kind of define that. And so it's basically a piece of art on a building that is applied. It can't be a sign, so it can't have a brand name, product name, alphabet, abbreviation, anything that denotes a company, business, logo, trademark, etc. We also added can't use political or religious messaging, and those things are not considered a sign. So previously, the building inspector had said, well, that's a sign, so this is not a sign. So wall art shall be steady and stationary, so we're not talking about moving pictures or that type of thing. And then also, one of the things that, the last sentence that I had in here, and I think warrants a discussion, and we had a really good discussion about it at the ZBRC, is wall art is only allowed on buildings or structures where the principal use of the property is commercial or municipal. And so I wanted to have that discussion with this board because it brought up a lot of things at ZBRC. And I had initially put it in there because, there's the concern would be that, people were going to be putting wall art in residential areas. And, I didn't think that would be palatable to the town meeting body. So I'd like to hear from this body to see kind of how you feel about that. Their concern was that you wouldn't be able to put wall art on multifamily buildings. And so that was one of the major thoughts that they brought up. So kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
One thing.
By all means.
I don't have much to add, but I did just want to let all the board members know that we put this forward working together with the building inspector. The building inspector wants this because it just clarifies things and makes his job easier, so he knows what is a sign and what is wall art.
Right.
And the Public Arts Committee as a whole wants to encourage this type of public art, and so we wanted to make it easier. We don't want businesses who want to have murals on their buildings have to go to the Board of Appeals and pay all that extra if they want to just put on art that's not a sign.
Right, I agree with that. I think it's the confusion of what's a sign versus what's wall art has been kind of a pressing situation for the ZBA, and they've had several applicants come in. You want to paint flowers, is that a sign or is it wall art? I mean, that's, I think everybody knows I'm very conscious of people's time, and I think it's a good idea to put things in perspective of whether or not, what the definitions are. In regards to commercial, municipal, or residential, I agree that we should keep commercial or municipal as it is. I don't think that we should put residential for the fact that, just using a complex name, Hallmark Gardens, I own a condo there, you own a condo there. I may like what they're going to put there, but you may not like that. And I think that, just having this blanket open approval takes away ownership rights. And, what's beautiful to me may not be beautiful to you. And I think it's that enforces a discussion to be had for community members in multifamily complexes to put forward a, kind of a unanimous or, a majority decision.
One other thing that I forgot to mention.
Sure.
One of the things we did discuss, and it doesn't go in the definition, is that we should develop some guidelines around this, because we should make sure that someone in town, possibly the Public Arts Committee, but some entity in town should review the artwork before it goes up on the wall, just to make sure that it meets the requirements
with
and
that.
there's nothing political or offensive or et cetera.
I-
So that doesn't go in the definition, but it is something that we'll put together in rules and regulations.
I think that's an excellent idea, thank you. Anyone else?
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, Jack.
Question, where we touch upon prohibiting political or religious, are we going in all in direction of the Arizona Reed v. Gilbert case?
Well, you all said
Can
that
we-
here, but it
we-
doesn't say that in your definition.
Can we stop and can you just give us like a quick snippet of what this case is? Because.
Well, it's a First
we're
Amendment
talking a
case.
different
So
language.
it's a question of, are you illegally prohibiting First Amendment speech, right?
Understood.
And so what this says is, it prohibits, so time, place, manner, right? Those are the things you're allowed to regulate, time, place, manner. And this says you can't have any alphabet, any logo, trademark, trade name, or other commercial message. So it doesn't say, what, pardon me?
What we have here. What we have here is any logo, trademark, trade name, or other commercial, political, or religious message.
Okay, so this has changed since I reviewed it,
Okay,
and that's a problem.
okay.
Okay.
So we should take out the words political or religious.
Yeah.
It should just say.
I'm sitting here looking at the
name or
one I
commercial.
reviewed and approved, and it doesn't have any of
Yep,
that.
this is post ZBRC discussion.
Yeah, we can't.
That's fine.
So the political, religious, that's going to come out.
Okay,
Okay, so we can vote on it as amended.
Right.
yep, we can still vote on it.
Ooh, that kind of changes things for me.
Well, it still will have to go.
It's covered, though, because it says, it shall not contain any brand name, product name, letters of the alphabet, spelling or abbreviating the name of any product. So,
Company
So
professional
I'm just going to use just a random example. If I wanted to put a red, white, and green symbolizing the Italian flag, or blue and yellow for the Swedish flag, does that allow me, based on what is written here, could I do that? Because unless, and call me crazy, if it's not an American flag, I don't want it.
it looks like you could put something like that up. I guess the question is where, who allows this? What's the process?
Right.
Time, place, manner is what you're allowed to regulate. And no advertising, you're allowed to do that because of what this is. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, you could do that.
I mean, I guess I should revise that. If it was something that was related to a specific organization, I think, everybody's entitled to do whatever they want, but I think that we're kind of getting on a slippery slope here.
Yeah, because we don't know who's.
You don't know who's in charge. If that bylaw says there's an acceptance, but then that comes into a potential discrimination or,
But I could go out and paint the side of a building with a flag today. And it's not a sign, it's.
Still free speech. It's considered free speech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I can't do that, so if it's on my building.
so is that's not considered art? So I guess, when Liz, when you met with CBRC, what was the focal point on religious and political components?
I think that it was just a concern that we don't want things that could be controversial. I think was the kind of thought process behind it, was my guess. We don't want to step into things that are going to make people upset or concerned, and so that was essentially what it is. But again, free speech
Is
free speech.
So that's content. You're trying to
Yeah.
regulate content. You can't regulate content. Time, place, manner, that's what you're allowed to regulate.
So if that's the case, if we came up with rules and regulations and told businesses that wanted to put some wall art up on their business, they had to come to the Public Arts Committee for review, we can review it, but we can't really say no?
It depends on what it is, right? So you've got the one I'm reading is content neutral, right?
Right.
You're saying, it's gonna be art, and you can't advertise anything, and you can't use letters of the alphabet. That's content neutral, right? But the minute you start to judge about what it says, you can't do that. And so let me give you the most recent example. So there's the Shirtleaf case out of Boston, and it was about hanging flags on a flagpole, right? And the city of Boston had what they thought were their own flagpoles. And so they had a process. You come in, you fill out an application, and then you could put your flag up if they said yes. And the problem was the city of Boston just let everybody put up their flag. They didn't really go through the process. They had a process, but they didn't really use it. And then somebody came in and said, I want to put up this flag, and they said no, because they didn't like the content of the flag, right? They had already made it a public forum by not saying that there were controls over it and who was going to do it. So now what most communities do is say, this flagpole is controlled by the select board, and these are the flags we're going to allow, or we're going to have a specific process, and here's going to be the process, and actually follow the process. So those are government, that then becomes a government speech, right? So none of that has to do with content, it has to do with control. Now you're saying to anybody, if you have a building, it's your building, we're not going to call it a sign, we're going to say it's art, and you can put whatever you want in your building, but it becomes a sign when you start using letters and messaging.
Right.
Right? Then it becomes a sign. That's neutral.
Right.
Right.
Wait, you have to wait 1 second, sir. I'll come to the public afterwards.
So, one of the things that I think this is missing, I like the idea of wall art. I think it's a great idea. But I think one of the things that's missing is a business has its own style. That style may not necessarily be a sign. It might be the color or the shade of an awning. And so what I think we're missing here is it can't be a continuation of their style to wrap around the building. If they're allowed an awning on, say, 2 sides, we have to make this so they can't continue the style of that awning as a piece of their artwork so that they have the effect of an awning going all the way around the building.
So that's different. That's not in the definition, right? So that would be in your regulations, right? Because that's sign. And so if an application came in for wall
But
art.
there's no words in it. And there's nothing trademarked about it.
Right.
It's just their style.
Right, but the regulations could say that this may not be a continuation of your existing signage or
Can it say it
trademark.
can't be an advertisement? So for example, this is my question, so for example, Cracked has this mural they put up, it's yellow flowers, great, no problem. But if they had come forward and said, we want to paint a mural of bacon and eggs, that's kind of a sign, because that's what they
Well,
sell.
that's not what this says.
Yeah, so I'm worried about that. So can we put in the rules and regulations that the artwork cannot be an advertisement?
You should put that in here, the art shall,
Okay.
and you kind of do that. You have you could say or other, well, it does, or other commercial message.
Commercial message
Right.
would count,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So the bacon and eggs would be a commercial message selling the thing that, advertising the thing that they sell inside.
And that would be considered a sign, and they would have to
Yeah,
go,
you could say that.
you would have to go to the ZBA to get a sign variance.
Okay, I know that's
Skiing
not
on a
your
ski
issue.
slope.
I might like putting eggs on the side of a building, I don't know.
I know. Yeah, so just as a
I
piece
mean,
of,
like you could have a can of soup, right? There's a very
Yeah.
famous painting with this can of soup. Am I going to put
Yeah.
that on the side of my grocery
Let's
store?
get words on it. letters.
It's not art. And no Andy Warhol. This definition, or most of this definition, came from the Planner's Dictionary, which takes definitions from all over the country for planning words like this. And I think this is from Michigan, if I don't recall, but this was, there's a list of them. Some are very specific. This was a more specific one, and some of them are very broad. So.
Could I just ask, if this were to pass, I'd like for you and I to work with Lisa to come up with the rules and regulations so that we have a little bit of control.
Yep.
So do you want to put something in there that it's subject to some type of approval?
Well, this is definition, right?
Right, these are the definitions, so then you're going to have the regulations. The use, you're, in the bylaw is going to say, you can have wall art wherever. Right. Use table.
So we need to come up with the rules and regulations that go with the definition. Okay,
So
so,
isn't this premature before we have?
That's kind of how I'm feeling. I mean, this is,
that's fair, so,
I think that we need to put some rules and regs and get
have
this,
them
and have them together before I
Even
can
though-
vote on this, because I can't vote on this as it is.
even though town meeting will not vote on the rules and regs, we can have them before we get it,
Well, they're going to ask.
before
the
a town
question.
meeting, is that right?
I can't vote it as it is right now. If we're not keeping it as this stands right now, as presented, it's a hard no for me, and I think it's very important to have this type of definition. I think it's important for us to move forward, to have some type of regulations in place, but this doesn't sit well with me as it stands, or as council has stated, without rules and regs.
So, I understand that. I think it's reasonable that we come up with the rules and regs to go along with this, even though town meeting wouldn't vote on the rules and regs, they're going to want to see them, and that's fine. I suspect that that would mean we should delay this to January, because I don't think we could get the rules and regs ready in time. We would have to vote on this in August, and that doesn't really give us a whole lot of time.
Right.
Am I correct?
I would say so.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would agree, yes.
So if
So,
that's the case,
let's
I
withdraw
would
for right now.
recommend that we, do we withdraw or postpone? What's the correct, withdraw?
I would withdraw because I would want to re-advertise for whatever
Okay.
we would want to
Please.
have. it.
Second on the withdrawal.
Do we need to talk to the public or not? Because I know.
No, because we're withdrawing, so there's
Okay.
nothing else
Okay.
that,
Okay.
I mean, if somebody from the public would like to reach out to us and provide some
All right.
feedback.
So I will make a motion to withdraw.
I seconded it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Barbara.
No, I think it's reasonable. I was
Hey,
coming.
here's that word again.
All right. And
Item 7E.
next, we have one more. I hope it's the last one. I don't know.
7E is a public hearing, amendment to Article 11, Special Residential Regulations, Section 11.2, Accessory Residential Uses in One-Family Dwelling, RO zoning district of the zoning bylaws, to bring the zoning bylaws into alignment with state laws regarding accessory dwelling units, ADUs, submitted by the planning board.
Sure. So I'm going to share my screen on this one. And so this is in response to feedback that we got from the Attorney General's office. So a few town meeting cycles ago, we proposed a bylaw for accessory dwelling units. The state was requiring them be allowed in RO districts, and they're considered a protected use, so we could not prohibit them, but we could put reasonable regulations surrounding them. And so we did that. But they did not conform to they conformed to the state law, but not the subsequent regulations that the state enacted after the fact. So there's the law, and then there's the regulations. And so we basically got, they said, you got to comply with the regs. So that's what we're doing here. And so so 760 CMR 71 regulations from the Attorney General's office. So the two things are replace the term single family and one family in the bylaw language with the term principal dwelling. And then also, we needed to update the off-street parking requirements to comply with the regulations. Okay, so why the word principal dwelling? So we're going to go through the logic. ADUs are only allowed in the one-family dwelling RO zoning district. That's fact. However, not all properties in the RO zoning district are single-family homes. There's some pre-existing non-conforming multifamilies, duplexes, you know, it's not a monolith. And so the state law says that all properties in that district are allowed to build an ADU. So if you have a duplex, you are eligible to come in.
Liz, can I stop you one second?
Is there-
'Cause I'm seeing you shaking your
Am
head.
I not?
Not all properties, any dwelling units up to 3 dwelling units,
Okay.
up to 3. So that's what a principal dwelling is defined as up to 3.
Okay. I don't think that, I mean, we might have 1 or 2, but in town that I could think of, but thank you, Lisa.
Let's just double check on that, just to make sure we're dotting all our i's,
I-
crossing our t's, please.
So up to 3. So if you have 3 dwelling units on your property and you want to put in a maximum 900 square foot ADU, you could go to the building department and do that, and that would be allowed.
Understood.
If you have 4, that is not allowed. So I think that's good. And then the next section is off-street parking requirements. So currently, the bylaw requires all ADUs to have a dedicated off-street parking space. The state regulations exempt ADUs within half a mile of a bus stop from requiring an off-street parking space. So we can't say all ADUs need to have a parking space. We have bus lines that go up Cambridge Street, Mall Road, and parts of Middlesex Turnpike. So we amended the bylaw, adding that language that if you're within half mile of a bus stop, you can't require a driveway. However, in our general bylaws, we have winter parking regulations and plowing regulations. So if you have an EDU, you're going to have to get the car off the street somehow.
Or a tenant without a car.
Yeah, or get a tenant without a car. So that is, it's kind of just by default that way.
Sure.
So that is the other change. And then I think that was kind of it. Does anybody else have any questions for me?
No?
Question. You said what we originally had conformed to the law, but the regulations changed the law? Did they change the law, or they just interpreted it through the regulations? I'm confused.
So if you recall, and I think you were on town meeting when this was passed, but we did this very quickly because the ADU regulations became law in February.
Yeah.
And we had a January town meeting, and I was trying to get something on the book so that we could make sure that the town, we had something in the book. So town meeting happened, but just before the law went into effect, regulations came out, adding additional.
We're talking the CMRs.
Yes,
Yeah.
the CMRs, Jack, correct.
CMRs can't change the legislation, though.
It didn't. They interpreted it. So the statute says ADUs are allowed in a single-family home district, right? Any district you allow single-family homes. An ADU is allowed to be a part of a principal dwelling, but it didn't define what principal dwelling was. And so that's that change. Also, it didn't define what transit was, and the regulations defined what transit was. And the iterations of the regulations around what transit stop was like
Last minute.
multiple and last minute. So that was defined by the regulations as well.
So they didn't change the legislation, they just
They just-
interpreted
Yep.
That's
the
correct.
detail. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Correct.
Anyone else? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or online that has any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this matter? Seeing no one.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I would further like to make a motion to recommend favorably on the petition to amend Article 11, Special Residential Regulations, Section 11.2, Accessory Residential Uses in the One-Family Dwelling RO Zoning District of the zoning bylaws, to bring the zoning bylaws into alignment with state laws regarding accessory dwelling units, submitted by the planning board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That's all for zoning hearings for this evening. May I have a motion?
Oh, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7F and 7G together for discussion purposes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on, item F is a public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 1.5.1 light manufacturing or processing plants of the Northwest Park Plant Development. Zoning bylaws 10 North Avenue, Envision Energy USA LTD is the applicant. Item G is a public hearing application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 1.5.6 generation or storage of hazardous waste in excess of the volumes classified as a very small quantity generator of the Northwest Park Plant Development. Zoning bylaws 10 North Avenue and Envision Energy USA LTD is the applicant. Just one more second. Thank you, council. I apologize.
That's all right. No,
Well,
thank you.
Ms.
You're good.
Sarah. Just keeping on over here. Good evening, folks.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Christine Hung, attorney at Reamer Bronstein. With me tonight, I have Brian Braga, who is Director of Operations at Envision Energy. Envision Energy is a multinational green tech company that focuses on clean energy infrastructure. And I'll have Brian, during the presentation, give you a little background on what Envision does. They currently occupy 2 locations in Burlington, one at 1 North Avenue, about 5,000 square feet, and then the other at 10 North Avenue, which is the entire building comprising 30,000 square feet. Several years ago, they came forward to the planning board for special permits, and since that time, they've expanded, they've shown real progress in some of their R&D, and so now they want to add 2 additional uses, light manufacturing to do some prototype manufacturing, as well as hazardous waste in excess of a very small quantity generator, both of which are allowed by special permit by the planning board. There are no proposed exterior modifications, and we also spoke with Christine Mathis, who knows the company, knows their operations. We did not have to go before the Board of Health because she felt comfortable with what they were doing, so that was good. And so right now, I'll turn it over to Brian, who can talk a little bit more about Envision and what they do, because there are some members of the board that were not here when we first permitted them, so.
Good evening, everyone. At Envision Energy, we're a global energy company, and our main focus is on providing total solutions, renewable solutions to our customers, from batteries to wind turbine technology to AI-driven systems. Focused here in the Burlington area, we are focused on the developing of the electrolyzer, what actually takes electricity and splits the water into hydrogen and oxygen. These systems can be deployed into refueling stations, they can be deployed into semiconductor systems, and also into fertilizer industries and other green tech industries. Our building like mentioned before, was recently renovated last year, around 16,000 square feet. And the whole focus of that was for future growth with pre-pilot and light manufacturing. So, yeah, that's a little bit of the background.
Great, thank you. Liz, Caleb, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so as the project team mentioned, they were before this board a few years ago. They're kind of looking to expand kind of within their space. That I have also touched base with Christine Mathis. She did provide comments from the Board of Health. Those would be contained in any condition issued by the board. Any previous conditions that are not specifically modified by this approval, if given by the board, would still remain in effect. The only questions that we would have from planning staff is going to be if there's going to be any increases to on-site traffic as far as deliveries and shipments to the site, as well as the kind of operating hours of our employees going to be there any later than they were previously.
I can answer that. So as far as deliveries will still remain at its current levels. It's still considered light manufacturing and R&D type, so we don't expect an increase in deliveries. As far as working hours, we still maintain to be the 7 to 5 o'clock timeframe during the first shift hours. Could be future expansions as our future grows, and there's a need for our product, but right now we're still in the early stage.
That's all from planning staff.
Great. Thank you. I mean, for me, it's pretty straightforward. I was here when you presented the first time around, and love the initiative. Is there anyone on the board that has any questions, comments, or concerns? Yep. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions, comments, or concerns? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I would further like to make a motion to approve the request of Envision Energy USA Limited for the approval of 2 special permits pursuant to Section 1.5.1, light manufacturing or processing plans, and Section 1.5.6, generation or storage of hazardous waste, for the property in the Northwest Park PDD zoning provisions for property at 10 North Avenue, subject to the terms and conditions contained in Exhibit A attached.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Folks.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you. Moving forward to item H is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 3.6, fast order food establishment of the 90 Middlesex Turnpike Plan Development, PD zoning bylaws, 90 Middlesex Turnpike. Galabi Inc. is the applicant. Did I say that appropriately?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, folks.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Christine Hung, attorney from Reamer and Bronstein. With me tonight, I have Sip Wadad, who is the owner and operator of the Halal Spot, or Galabi Inc., which is the corporate name, and the Halal Spot will be their DBA. This is another tenant. I've been here before recently with tenants at 90 Middlesex Turnpike, so Davis Companies is doing a really great job with really marketing this retail space and trying to get great tenants in there, and the Halal Spot is one of them. They first opened up in New Hampshire, a couple of restaurants in New Hampshire, and most recently in Methuen. So their concept is fast casual. They're taking over the Yaz Chicken Spot, about 2,300 square feet. They will have 56 interior seats and 16 exterior seats, which is a decrease from which Yaz Chicken had. Yaz Chicken had 61 interior seats and 16 exterior. So the exterior seats will remain the same. Their food concept is kind of like a mishmash between like American and Middle Eastern with rice bowls, but then they'll have smash burgers and just really like a good mixture. They've gotten such great reviews from their Methuen location that they opened up recently, and they have a big presence on Instagram and a social media presence. Their hours of operations will generally be Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11 to 11. And Sunday will be 11 to 10.
Correct.
No exterior modifications, and they're looking to open at the end of September, preferably. So, would you like to say a few words, Sip?
Hi, my name is Sip Wadad. I represent my family, the Wadad family. We have 6 restaurant locations. The Spot has been the most favorite concept, and it just has this free flow feeling that when people come, we don't serve any alcohol. We encourage board games and families and people to sit around and talk, a family-friendly environment where people can come and spend some time, and I think that's something that we've always yearned as a family when going places. So it's something that we wanted to bring to Burlington. I love Burlington. My first date with my wife was at the Cheesecake Factory in Burlington. So it's always been a very special commercial hub for me. And that sums it up, and thank you guys for your time.
Great,
Tell them
thank you.
about what you do for the community with the fire.
Oh, of course. It goes without mentioning, community comes first. The reason we're so public on social media is because we like to be held accountable for any mistakes we made. So I really put my face out there. I'm sure I'll come across your For You page as pre-opening and soft opening comes up. Soft opening, we give free food to all first responders and last responders. And then moving forward, we take care of them with special discounts. We do a lot of major giveaways with some of the local. In New Hampshire, we do Market Basket. We do a lot of giveaways for families in need. Typically, because if you win the community over, you won their business, and that's really what the foundation of local businesses are. So I'd rather my actions prove all of that for you, so I'll keep it at that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that last part. Staff?
Yeah, so as Attorney Hung mentioned, we have been seeing a number of new tenants to 90 Middlesex. I know that's come up in previous discussions with proposed tenants, and I think something that, we'd like to see would be an employee parking plan to ensure that, the employees are not taking up any of the spots closest to. So that's something that we would, ask for as part of the conditions. The other part would be the third-party delivery apps, and kind of knowing that I'm, looking online, it seems like that's a big part of the business model. And if there's any proposed signage at this time, and another proposed condition to have that any of that signage, that the location and the design of that would be approved by the planning board chair as well as planning staff before installation. That's all the planning staff has.
Great, thank you. I love the idea, I love the concept, I love the community contributions. I think it's all great. My only real question is, how are you going to handle, are you utilizing Uber Eats? Are you food delivery? I think it's my understanding that you have an app or something of.
DoorDash and Uber Eats, the third parties.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
you mentioned, yeah.
And so do we have designated spaces, and where are those located? Like, how does that work?
Typically, we're always, I wish about the data, but our food's always ready. So we can create designated parking spaces if recommended. You know that space better than I do. And I know that those dashers can be really, aggressive at times. So we'll do our best to get them in and out as quick as possible and create designated parking spaces in a plan.
Yeah, and then we'll work with the Davis Company too in terms of figuring something like that out.
Yeah, because this isn't the first fast order food that's been in that plaza, and I feel like we've talked about this before, and this is more a Davis Company
Yeah.
kind of question. And I think that from when the representative from Davis was here in the past, he did seem that it wasn't going to be he would be fine with it. but-
I think Mel was supposed to.
I don't see her online.
Yeah. So
Can I just-
we can work with the Davis companies on that.
I will in
Yeah.
1 second. So I just want to make sure that because there is that urgent care there, that the fast order, the Uber Eats or DoorDash or whoever it is, whatever, service you decide to use, those are away from the urgent care so that folks can get in. And I think, based on everything you've shared with us, that would be agreeable to you.
Understood.
Is there anyone?
I have I have
Sure.
two quick questions. I notice where it says the woman's restroom, is there a diaper changing station where it's a family type of restaurant?
Well, I guess if there's one in the women's room, is there one in the men's room as well?
I guess I should have said that too.
Or is it a unisex,
family
I
one.
guess, or
A family
family?
one or something. I know it just says,
From my current walkthrough at the current condition, the women's restroom was multiple women can go, as to where the men's was a single stall. I don't know if there's an existing diaper station in either of them, but I will put one in each of them.
question. And then do you provide the games for people?
The board games, yeah, we do. Yeah, they go missing from time to time, and we have to re-put them, but that's part of
I've got
the,
about 20 of them my kids never play with.
that'd be awesome.
Can we put that in the decision that there's changing in both the male and female bathrooms?
I just wanted to, this, not specific to this, this restaurant, but since we do have multiple restaurants there, I think what Caleb was saying is that the chair can meet with staff and come up with a plan, and I think it should just be a plan for the whole plaza, not specific restaurants. We just have, here's where the Uber Eats people park, and it's nowhere near urgent care, and that services any and all restaurants that are in there. I think that just makes more sense.
I agree with that.
Agree.
And, this is kind of a thorn in my side, and this is not a you thing. This is just in general, and I say this to professional staff all the time. If we have a tenant, our landlord should be showing up too. They're profiting from, any type of application that's moving forward, even if they come online. I think it's really important for both the landlord and tenant to be on the same page, because this is a relationship not just between the landlord and the tenant, but it's also with the community. That being said, I'm sorry, does anyone on the board have anything else to say?
One quick question for staff. Do we have in our decision the regular stuff about temporary signage? Okay, that you can't have it.
No
Okay.
flags, no wacky wavy guys.
I didn't like those.
All that fun stuff. Okay, good. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience, in person or online, that has any questions, comments, or concerns? Moving forward, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on this matter.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I would further like to make a motion to approve the request of Gulabi Incorporated for a special permit pursuant to Section 3.6 Fast Order Food Establishments of the 90 Middlesex Turnpike Plan Development District for property at 90 Middlesex Turnpike, subject to the terms and conditions contained in Exhibit B attached.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Burlington. I look forward to dropping off all those board games and eating your wonderful food.
Yeah, I look forward to serving you good food.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Welcome to Burlington. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to take items 7I, 7K, and 7L together for discussion purposes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, moving forward. Item J is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 4.2.6.10, restaurant fast order food and takeout of the zoning bylaws, 2 Wall Street, Chick-fil-A is the applicant. Item K is a public hearing, application for approval of a special permit pursuant to Section 4.3.227, drive-through facility, the zoning bylaws, 2 Wall Street, Chick-fil-A is the applicant. Item L is a public hearing, application for approval of a site plan, 2 Wall Street, Crosspoint Associates is the applicant. Do we have all folks here from landlord and Chick-fil-A side? Hey. You're a lucky chicken, because if you weren't, we weren't going to be having this conversation.
I'll take it. No worries.
Yeah, let me give you access to be able to do that.
We got the whole,
Wow, right in time.
we got the whole team.
All right, Joey, you should have access now.
Just for the record, I have signed the Mullen forms. I have reviewed previous meeting and meeting notes and met with folks who did participate in the walk. So I will be voting on this matter when the time should come. Mr. Vaughn?
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Can you, come on, you should know the drill by now.
I know. Sorry, I'm actually coming from another hearing and I was rushing, so.
That's okay, take your time.
Good evening. For the record, Attorney Mark Vaughn, representing the applicant, 2 Wall Street owner, in connection with the applications that you've read into the record. I know that this is our second public hearing that we've had for the project. I know Kerry McCormick, who representative of the property owner, was here at that time. Joey Fonseca, who is with Bowler engineering firm of record, and other folks as well that were here. So appreciate the board's time and staff's time on this over the past month or so. We did have a site walk last month. Appreciate everyone coming out for that. And there were some questions and comments that had come up at that time that I think we have attempted to address. I'm actually going to turn it over to Joey because I think he submitted a revised memo that kind of summarized a few items that we had modified based upon some of the feedback we received at that time. And then also he did submit a updated plan as well. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Joey Fonseca with Bowler. I'm going to share a revised site plan and just kind of walk through some of the site plan changes that were a result of the sidewalk and also some of the comments that were made at our first hearing as well. So let me zoom in a little bit. So I've just kind of highlighted, I wanted to make this clear so that it is a good visual to just kind of show what some of these updates were. So just kind of going down my list of the plan revisions as a result of our hearing in the site walk. So the first up is just the bollard protection along the patio rail. So we are showing 5 bollards or spaced at 5 feet apart along, so it's going to be in front of the fence of the patio. Again, just to kind of provide provide that level of protection, and there'll be landscaping, infill between the bollards and the edge of the curbing there. There's a new sidewalk connection that we're proposing from Wall Street. It's this sort of cyan shaded area along the center of the site. So we are showing a connection onto the Wall Street sidewalk. We're eliminating one of the spaces. This design will get firmed up, but we're eliminating one of the spaces, providing a crosswalk across the drive aisle, and then providing a 3-foot wide striped, again, this is all at grade, striped path basically along the center of the parking area, and that leads essentially to the front door. So again, just providing a pedestrian path from Wall Street right down the site. Again, another crosswalk, and then leading to the front door. There. This tan shaded area, again, from the first presentation, this was a sort of a pavement marked end island here. We couldn't provide a landscape island, and I can get to the truck turns because we needed that area to provide a truck turn both for deliveries and for emergency vehicles to exit the site. But what we've done is create a mountable concrete island here, so it's 4 inches high, it's mountable. It will act as a deterrent to, again, promote anyone that's entering the site to take a right and circulate, again, sort of counterclockwise around the site through this one-way motion to either drive through, park, or if they're exiting the site. We've also added some striping at the entrance here, again, just to sort of firm up sort of that interchange there as you enter the site and those that are exiting, so that it's very clear as you're entering the site that you are taking a right and following that one-way path in the parking area. Just one item to note, as we created this walk here, we were providing a 25-foot drive aisle between the parking spaces just, south of this pedestrian access and the spaces along Cambridge Street. We reduced that drive aisle width to 22 feet instead of 23 feet, 25 feet. That's where the 3-foot aisle came from. So the parking spaces, the angled spaces remain the same as far as the depth and the width. We've just reduced that drive aisle to 22 feet. So we're providing a 12-foot aisle sort of through traffic lane, and then, there's a 10-foot wide, if there's any queuing outside of the drive-through entrance, they've got, a 10-foot lane there to temporarily queue in that drive aisle width. So, we're providing a do not block the box. Again, we'll confirm the details of this, but this is at the intersection, just off-site here, of the 10 Wall Street entrance onto Wall Street. So we're providing, or just at least adding a note there, and that was something that we discussed on our sidewalk, just to prevent some cars from blocking that interchange there. There are 2 spaces in front of this existing tree. If you can see my mouse. Sorry about that. There's a fairly large tree kind of near the corner of Cambridge and Wall Street. The roots were exposed. There were 2 spaces that were being proposed there. The concern was, as this curb line does push back into the existing slope, that it was going to impact those tree roots. We've removed those 2 spaces to not impact the tree roots, again, to keep that tree. We want to keep that tree at that corner. It's pretty significant tree. So we've removed those spaces. That area that was 2 additional parks there will be just landscaped, and again, the tree roots will be preserved within that tree canopy area. So again, that reduces the parking along that drive aisle from, I believe, 12 to 10 along there. I think that was it from site plan. I'm going to switch to the landscape plan. So lastly was just kind of enhancing the landscaping behind the trash enclosure. So there was some concerns. There was a gap in the landscaping under the initially submitted landscape plan between, directly behind the trash enclosure. As we saw from the site walk, the site does in elevation drop approximately 9 feet from Cambridge Street. So the top of the trash enclosure would, be within a foot of grade at Cambridge Street. So we're providing some evergreen trees, some rhododendron, just some, just a good evergreen buffer there between Cambridge and the rear trash enclosure. Again, you would be sort of looking over the top of it, and now we're providing some additional landscape to kind of infill that gap in the landscaping that was there. So all of these materials sort of blend in with the other plant materials that we're proposing through the site as well. That being said, those were the main changes to the site plan. I know there were some other discussion points that we had, and we're happy to get into those discussions as needed. And I've got some additional plans that we can share as well as we get into that.
Great, thank you. Liz, Caleb, do you have anything you'd like to add before we start with the board?
Yeah, there are definitely a couple site-specific items. I want to preface this by saying, I think that there's been a lot of good updates made by the project team in direct response to, Liz and I's comments, other town departments, as well as the board, kind of previous comments. One of the biggest changes on this is that pedestrian walkway. Joe, if you could kind of, or I can zoom in a little bit. One of the concerns that we still have on this is the vehicles driving through to the drive-through as they enter over here from 10 Wall Street into the site, that right now, people want to get the food as quick as possible. And our concern would be that the drivers would come into the site here and then cross directly here and go right into the drive-through because there's nothing to stop them. That concerns us both that that's not how the queue is designed to work, as well as if we're encouraging pedestrians to walk through this space, that I would, that puts them in direct harm's way of vehicles traveling through this space. So, ways to limit the vehicles that are trying to travel that direct route, as well as ways that we can enhance the pedestrian safety, both in this walkway, as well as, these parts where they're crossing, where the drive aisles are. I know whether it's, stamped material, something raised up, we see that in many other sites that, safe for pedestrians, as well as kind of force the vehicles to slow where they should already be going slow through a parking lot, that would kind of force the vehicle to go slower. I know there's going to be issues with, turning radiuses and kind of whatnot, but these are, concerns that I see with this specific layout. One of the other updates made, and I think this is my main topic for the night, is these third-party delivery drivers. And on the updated plan, it shows that there's 3 here. I see this as a problem because when they're parking here, then they're walking across the parking lot. I think that there is an opportunity to put those directly against where these pedestrian accommodations are being offered, so that they are in where they're supposed to be as pedestrians walking through the site. I also, we know Chick-fil-A is very popular, just kind of confirming that it's 3 the proper amount for the site, just kind of confirming that that's the case. Let's see. The Wall Street at a do not block over here. We know that Wall Street is a private roadway. Has the Gutierrez Company, which is the operator of that, have they been made aware of this plan? Are they in agreement? Is there something that can be provided to confirm that they are okay with this being installed on their private roadway? And one other thing, I was reviewing testimony from the last hearing, and I just want to confirm, what is the total number of seating that's going to be offered? Is it 66 or is it 70? And those are my main questions, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Barbara, I will let you start.
Okay, thank you.
If you don't mind.
So I have sort of 2 buckets of concerns. And the first bucket is all traffic related. So I think, first of all, thank you for respecting that big, beautiful tree and getting rid of those parking spaces. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the sidewalk. It was longer than anyone expected, but I think it was really important, and we did a lot of really good work. So I appreciate all the time that you spent. I'm still concerned about traffic. I'm concerned about the traffic going onto Wall Street. I'm concerned about the movement of the cars coming off of 128 and then getting over to the left quickly enough to turn left onto Wall Street. I'm also concerned just about the volume of traffic. And one of the things we talked about during the site walk was about the volume of traffic that's currently handled up at the Woburn site. And I'm hoping that you can provide us with what with that data of the volume of traffic that is currently being handled up at the Woburn site. And then I'm asking the traffic engineer, do you believe that this site, as you have designed it, can handle that volume of traffic that you're currently?
Yeah, I think, basically what you're saying, and I echo your comments. Fun fact, and I think I'm pretty sure I'm on point, but Chick-fil-A is the largest traffic generating business in the country. Woburn has, I think, 3 or 4 points of egress? This is one. I would like to have a peer traffic review, a traffic study.
I concur.
Does anyone on the board have any?
Agreed.
Anyone else?
I actually, not that I disagree, but I do want to say, I think Woburn is far busier than this particular spot.
But we don't know that this one's going to be busier, and even if it's busier, they have at least 3 points of egress. We have one. We're right off the highway. They're right off the highway, and I don't think we're doing a disservice to the community if we don't have a
I don't
traffic study.
disagree with doing the traffic
the-
study,
the
but I
other-
just want to say to you, because I get off at Washington Street every day, and it's very busy, because I travel that every day.
Oh, I mean, I go there.
I'm
Don't
just
get-
saying,
yeah.
far more than when
It is.
I'm traveling on that particular road. I'm just saying.
Because there's no Chick-fil-A on Wall Street. And that's the crux of the issue, my
That's
friend.
true, but I'm just saying, like, for traveling up and down, I go up and down Washington Street every day, and I'm heading that way back, both ways. I'm going, taking the left, and when I go straight down, I head down to Polcari's that way. And when you're saying they have different ways out, most of the time, because most of everybody, the kids at work, they all go to Chick-fil-A. They're all coming back out onto Washington Street. They're headed back down. No one's going all around these other ways out.
But there were multiple ways to get to
There's
Washington
to
Street.
get to Washington Street, and I will say, my daughter and I went to Starbucks the other day, and we sat and had our breakfast, and she's like, Mom, what are we doing? So we're watching Chick-fil-A. Why are we watching Chick-fil-A? That's weird, Mom. No, it's not. I'm just kind of looking at the dynamic, and I've been to Chick-fil-A's across the country several times. I love your business. I think it's the greatest, the greatest thing ever. I love the grilled chicken nuggets. I will have one simple request, that you potentially have gluten-free friolators at every different one, but just small suggestion, sidebar. But back to the point, I think, there's multiple points of egress in Woburn. There's one in Woburn. It's my understanding that you folks are going to have to go in front of Woburn again, and there's some issues with the traffic, and there are traffic concerns in Woburn.
Can I just speak to, I'm very familiar with Woburn. My kids are big fans of it. And, back before they could drive, I would drive them, and now they can drive themselves, they drive there. But there actually is only one egress from there.
Right.
Everyone has to come out through that signalized driveway. You can enter in from, take turns in on Washington in front of the Starbucks, for example, and there's a Press Cafe that recently opened. But there is actually only one egress point that you come out that site drive that's signalized and takes you out to Washington Street.
Over where BJ's is, you can get in that back way.
Yeah, he's saying
And-
there's multiple
Oh.
entrances, only
Oh,
one
one
exit.
exit.
One-
Right,
one-
okay,
yeah,
understood.
yeah. But just a point of clarification, to the extent that that's relevant. But, and I think that I forgot to introduce, Jason Adams, the traffic engineer with Bowman, Zach Middlebrooks, who's with Chick-fil-A here, obviously, tonight as well. But my understanding of what is being looked at in Woburn right now is that there recently was an opening that was done for Press Cafe, and obviously, you're all familiar with Prest in Burlington, and very popular restaurant. So I think that the traffic issues have been kind of focused on, that new kind of increase in traffic that has derived from that. And I think Chick-fil-A actually took it upon themselves to do some analysis of it. But I don't know if I can dissuade you off of a traffic peer review. I guess the only thing I would respectfully ask or ask for your consideration is that there is a traffic report that was prepared and submitted. That also had to be submitted to DOT, because technically we abut State Highway, Middlesex, Cambridge Street, at that location. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, Jason, but...
Yeah, Jason Adams with Bowman. Yeah, we did submit the information that's contained within the traffic impact study to Mass DOT District 4. It was important for us to understand if the project would require a Mass DOT permit because it does abut the state highway layout. So we don't have an access directly on the state highway layout, which would necessitate the permit, but so that we can understand the timing of everything, we did reach out before we submitted here locally to make sure that we understood the process. So Mass DOT reviewed all of the information that I've put into the traffic impact study that was submitted. Their conclusion was that the project would not have a significant impact on traffic because that alone would have brought the project into the Mass DOT access permit process. And they stated that the project does not require a Mass DOT access permit. And just at the end of that asked if this project is approved locally, it opens. If there was any undue delay caused by the project, that the project work with the town and work with Mass DOT to improve the traffic signal timings if needed.
Please.
Okay. So can you answer the question that I asked you at our site plat walk? Can this site, the way it is designed, handle the volume of traffic that Woburn is currently handling?
And Joey can speak maybe a little bit to the specifics of how the site is laid out. I believe that if you took the vehicle queues at Woburn and put them onto the site, it would not have a significant impact on Wall Street or the traffic signal at Cambridge Street. There's a lot of room on this site for vehicle stacking around the building.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes. I mean, again, it's hard to, every site is different, so I understand the theoretical.
I still think we need a traffic peer review. I know all of my questions were not, all of my concerns have not been addressed. I don't feel confident that this site, with its one entrance and exit and its proximity to the highway with a very short
Okay, just one more.
space to get from the exit over to the left, I still have a lot of concerns. I would like to have a peer review. I know staff had concerns and would like to have a peer review. So do we need to vote on that? Okay.
May I have a motion to vote on the peer review?
I'd like to make a motion that we request a peer review.
Second.
This site.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A peer review for traffic study.
Of the traffic study.
So,
You don't have to vote yes. I'm just,
Sure, so a peer review is having an outside traffic consultant review the traffic study that was submitted as part of this plan to ensure that everything was done properly and that adequate mitigation was.
Just one question. Do you think it's increased so much from the paparazzi?
yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm saying I think it was busier then.
No. Well, you got to think about the trip time. And somebody's going in there, they're getting lunch, they turn around, they're coming back. That's, as opposed to somebody who's going into Tasmazcal or Jack's, they're going there, they're staying there, they're there for at least an hour and a half. The life cycle of their visit's a lot longer, and therefore diminishing the amount of time that are people there.
Okay, so is this regarding just on?
This is
traffic?
entirely to do with
Thank
traffic.
you. Peer review.
I'm against the peer review, and then right out of the gate. To your point, and I don't really want to make your argument for you, but I think you're correct, all right? And to your point about coming off the highway, there's 2 lanes coming off the highway. That left lane feeds you right into the further left lane onto Wall Street. That distance there is 265 feet of a specific
Yes.
lane to turn left,
Yes.
which is enough for 17 cars.
It does not say, that's not what,
At
their
50
own
at
place
50
did not say
Did you measure
17
this?
cars.
Because you're a numbers guy.
I measured it.
No, your own traffic study does not say 17
I'm
cars. It
telling you,
seems like 10 or 12.
okay, it's
No.
265 feet, all
Did you
right?
actually measure this?
Okay.
Do it
We're
right
not going
here.
to say
It's
that they can hold
260
more than they're saying they can hold.
Can I finish?
Okay.
At 265 feet, which is the length of that lane, at 15 feet per car, that's going to give you 17 cars. You can do the math yourself, that's fine.
We stood there
These
and
Mini
looked.
Coopers.
No 17 cars.
I'm telling you the distance, I'm telling
I
you the
know, but
length.
did you, we stood there and watched and saw
Okay.
how many it could hold. It can't hold 17
Yes,
cars.
no, 15 cars. Doesn't
No,
really
it can't
matter.
hold 15 cars. Even they
the
aren't
three
saying it can
lanes,
hold
the
15
three lanes
cars.
coming out, right, are again are about 100, 150 feet. At,
Three lanes coming
These
out.
guys would,
Excuse me, wait, three lanes
if
coming
you
out
turn,
there.
coming out of the parking lot,
Oh, and then
you
can
want
two
to get
two
back
going
on
straight and one
back on the
going-
Cambridge
yes.
Street,
Okay.
right? You have 3 lanes, one going right, one going left, one going straight.
Yes.
These guys would be extremely happy, they'd be ecstatic if this business did 300 cars an hour. The light cycle is 90 seconds. That works out to 300 cars an hour, works out to 5 cars a minute. That light cycle is 90 seconds. So that means the business will have an opportunity to do 8 cars for every light cycle. If you can get 7 cars lined up on each one of those lanes, that gives you 21 cars can be backed up at that lane every 90 seconds.
I think you missed your calling. You should have been a traffic engineer.
The math.
I feel like you should have, like, wrote the paragraphs of the SATs.
The math, what they're talking about works.
Okay.
I
And
understand
that's,
that.
so that is my
Reclaiming my
sole reason
time.
why I do not want to do
Okay.
a peer review.
Reclaiming my
traffic
time.
study.
I've been watching too much CNBC.
So,
Okay,
that's,
Okay.
Look, this is, we're allowed to disagree on this, it's okay. I would like to see a peer traffic review. I know staff would like to see one. I made a motion, we should vote on it.
Could I
Is there a
just-
second?
I
Oh, we're in the middle of a motion, you can wait,
Well, no,
please.
So they have
I
to
second
agree to a traffic peer review too.
Well, I mean, we can vote on
We
it
can
whether or not we
vote to
want it, and
request
then
one.
they can,
And
Decide whether or
if they
not-
decide not to do one, we will take that under advisement when we make our decisions about this project.
but at least we can start at that point
Right.
and then move forward.
So I've made a motion. The other board members can vote however they want. Is this something that needs a simple majority?
I think so.
Okay,
Yes.
before we vote, does staff want to say anything about the peer traffic review? Because I know you told me that you would like to have one.
This is, I mean, I think that this is one of the highest trip generating fast order food restaurants in the country. And I think that this site is tight, and I just want to be extra doubly sure that this isn't going to clog everything up.
I mean,
And I would add
And
that this
affect-
section of roadway is one of the busiest sections of roadway that we have. It's extremely busy there.
we constantly hear from our constituents about traffic, traffic, traffic. And if we're not dotting our i's and crossing our t's, we're doing a disservice to the people who vote for us.
So, I made
is
the
there a
motion.
second?
I seconded it for the
All
third
those in
time.
favor? Aye.
Opposed?
aye.
That was your job.
Opposed?
I'm with Greg, I
Okay,
don't get neither.
420.
So
420, okay.
So we are formally requesting a peer traffic review. You don't have to give us an answer now. You can discuss this with our staff in the week ahead.
It's coming as a surprise to us, to be honest, because we never heard this before. It wasn't raised at the prior hearing at all. And so-
I wasn't present at the prior hearing.
And we hadn't
to be
gone on a
honest with you.
sidewalk.
And we hadn't had a site walk.
Yeah.
After speaking with staff and after speaking with folks who had attended the site walk, there was a concern. And to be honest with you, again, just as I previously stated, there's a lot of concern about traffic. And we hear that constantly about everything that's built. And as you know, Attorney Vaughn knows, we've asked for that quite a few times in the past few hearings for different applicants. This is not a, we're not pointing fingers at you. You're not being you're not being,
Single
what I'm
out.
looking for, you're not being singled out.
Yeah.
Right? We're hearing this constantly as Burlington continues to grow. Folks are very concerned about traffic. It takes, and it's kind of the beauty and the beast. It's great that our community is growing, but these are the implications of what's happening in our community. So I hope that you take our request to heart and that you could adhere to it.
Okay, so now that I'm not going to go through any more of my traffic concerns.
So I think that we could pause on the traffic until,
Yes.
and anything traffic
Do we want to do
related.
traffic around or let her do her second topic?
Right, I'm going to let her finish, but I
Okay.
think if it's anything else traffic related, we put a
'Cause I
small
do have
pause
traffic
on it
questions.
until we have an understanding of what's going to transpire.
I have traffic.
Okay.
questions.
Okay, thank you.
So then, the second bucket is, of course, site plan questions and concerns. One of the things we talked about at the walk was where you are to the right of the green space, that which, again, you eliminated 2 parking spaces to save the tree, thank you. But as you walk along those additional spaces heading toward the dumpster, the grade changes. And we talked about the possibility of needing a small retaining wall there. Not necessary when you're first starting off by the tree, but as you continue walking toward the dumpster, it becomes more necessary, I think. And you also mentioned at that time, one of you, I forget who said, you're going to look into whether or not the dumpster itself could serve as a retaining structure. I don't know if you've had time to look into that.
Sure.
So,
Do you want to respond?
yes, you, yes.
So we looked at the grading of the parking spaces along Cambridge Street. Currently, the slope, changes from above 3 to 1 slope, which is pretty steep, to, a more flatter slope as you get towards the existing spaces. Where we're pulling it into is kind of the toe of where that 3 to 1 slope is. So we were regrading a portion of the property line between the new curb line and the property line to be a more consistent 3 to 1 slope. 3 to 1 is still mobile, it's still maintainable. We're landscaping a good portion of that area, so we weren't requiring a wall per se. We were grading it out to be a 3 to 1 slope there. It'll be a combination of landscaping as well as, some lawn area, but again, it can be maintained still, even at a 3 to 1 slope. Using the rear of the trash closer as a retaining wall does have some load-bearing issue to that. These dumpsters are designed to be freestanding, so it would be a different design for it. So we opted to just keep the grading plan as it is. It does, again, it's still a 3 to 1 slope behind the dumpster. It's similar to what you'll see along Cambridge Street. So again, we're sort of keeping that same grading scheme along Cambridge Street to avoid a wall.
It's a landscape slope, so there's a lot of
Yes, so this is outside of my expertise. I'm going to ask staff to perhaps run this by our engineering department, make sure they're comfortable with no retaining wall there. And if they're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. But it's, again, not my area of expertise. So other things on the site itself. The walkway that runs between the 2 aisles of parking. I feel that it is not safe to have that at grade, and it also creates the concern that Caleb mentioned about people cutting through. If that were raised, it would provide additional safety for pedestrians, and it would eliminate the problem that Caleb's concerned about with people cutting right across the parking lot and not going around. So that's something I would like you to consider, just raising that up a little bit for safety. So we have a whole list of things that staff had us look at. I just want to make sure. Okay, we talked about this, the do not block. And I don't know exactly how to solve that problem. I know that it's imperative that we don't have that blocked because of all of the residences that are further down Wall Street.
I guess a simple question is, have you spoke to your neighbor about the do not block sign, and what was the response?
So we provided the information to the Gutierrez companies, and they're reviewing that now. I'm Kerry McCormick, Director of Development with Crosspoint Associates. We own both 2 and 10 Wall Street, where there's multiple egresses on both those properties onto Wall Street.
So we're waiting to hear from Gutierrez?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Then lastly, the biggest concern that I have, which is not going to come as a surprise to anyone, is the practice of having employees standing in the drive aisles through the drive-through. And after I know everybody thinks that's normal, but I'm sorry.
It's Chick-fil-A.
It may be Chick-fil-A, but I went home after our walkthrough, and I did a 2-minute Google search, and I found accidents where 4 or 5 Chick-fil-A employees were struck by cars. So it's not a crazy concern.
No, I
would
read
not.
that myself, but I'm just saying, the norm,
I don't care, because these are going to be Burlington teenagers probably working there. I would not allow my child to have that job. No, she's grown up, but so that's different. But if I wouldn't allow my own child to work in that situation, I don't think I should be allowing other people's children to take on that risk. I do not feel comfortable, and I don't think I will ever feel comfortable with employees standing in a drive aisle, taking orders or delivering food if there is no means of protecting them from cars. And as I told you in our walkthrough, I understand that you have extensive training for your employees, and I respect that. It's not your employees I'm worried about. It's the driver who's looking at his phone or has a heart attack or is just not paying attention and hits the gas instead of the brake. It's not the employee doing something wrong that I'm worried about. It's the drivers hitting them. And I don't want to see that happen here. I don't want to see it happen anywhere, but I'm not responsible for other Chick-fil-A's. I'm responsible for this one, and I cannot get past that.
So Barbara, would you feel better if it was an adult? So
No,
if it was
I
18
wouldn't.
plus or something along
they're
those
not
lines?
standing in the middle, they're on the side.
They're standing,
They have
we
costumes
are,
with a
we
second
set
row.
up bollards. We set up bollards at this location to protect people that are sitting at tables, not right next to the cars, sitting at tables eating, and we have protected them with bollards so they can't be hit by a car. And we're having these employees stand right next to the cars that are driving there, and there have been accidents. It was not difficult for me to find them. There's probably more than just that, because I did not spend a lot of time looking for them. Everybody can vote however they want. I cannot, in good conscience, vote for something that I think is putting employees
So
of
what are
this
you
business in harm's way.
suggesting? I'm just curious.
I'm suggesting that they don't have employees standing in the drive aisles taking orders.
Look, I can see both sides, and I know, and knowing the majority of everybody's personalities and what their beliefs are and what kind of, how they're feeling. We do have bollards for a reason. Chick-fil-A has a business, business style and business plan for a reason. I think your vote is your voice, right? So we could argue this all day long.
Right.
You're not getting Bob, you're not kicking Bob off his
Right,
chair.
and I'm not going to change your mind. I
Right,
just want to.
and you're not going to, I mean, vice versa. I mean,
I'm just explaining my concern, and that will inform my vote.
Okay.
That's all.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay.
It eliminates the second drive time, basically.
But we have to go through this.
Yes, we do. And I lost my page. I'm still lost. Where are you at? Okay, so we talked about the 15-minute parking pickup spaces. We talked about traffic concerns. We've talked about do not block.
We haven't talked about these two things.
Upgrading this. So 1, 2, 3. There's a few other concerns. Upgrading the sidewalk on Cambridge Street with a buffer for pedestrians as kind of a mitigation for increased traffic.
We talked about that at the walk.
At the walkthrough.
I'm sorry, say that one again?
So when we were looking at the plans, we were interested in having a upgrade to the sidewalk on Cambridge Street, given the fact that, that there's going to be increased traffic. So this would be a mitigation or, a buffer for pedestrians.
And we do expect there to be more pedestrian traffic now that there's a Chick-fil-A there for them to walk through. Right now, the sidewalk is bituminous and then cement and then bituminous, all in front of your site. It should just be one thing, cement with a vertical granite, which is what we require from businesses all over town.
Yeah, there is a missing, well, you're right, there's concrete, then there's bituminous and concrete, so there's a stretch of bituminous.
The other way around is bituminous, concrete, bituminous, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bituminous in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that certainly is something that we can look at in the context of, what we thought might be appropriate is, rather than us putting in the concrete sidewalk, if the town has more grandiose plans in the future that they want to look at that corridor, perhaps providing a contribution towards that.
I think I have one more contribution request. At that bus shelter that's right across, that's going to be serving other folks. There's an existing transit stop right across the property. It would be wonderful if that could be upgraded.
Well, there's nothing there right now.
Well, it's a bus stop, so a bus
Yeah.
shelter
Yes.
would be the upgrade that we would like to see.
The one on the other side of?
Yes.
Well, there's sort of two locations, one on the same side of the
On
street
this
and one
side.
across the street.
So
On the other side, we were asking about the one that's on their
this,
side.
yes, on their side, not on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm not even sure if it's on our, I think it might be more on the, right over the property boundary where, is it, what's it, Salem 5?
So none-
Oh, it's actually in the state highway.
So none, yeah, none of that. Cambridge Street is a state road, so all of that, what you're discussing is within the state right-of-way,
Right.
which would require state review and approval and whatnot, and they would need to locate a bus shelter on their right-of-way, and I don't know necessarily the process for them to obtain a bus shelter. I don't know if that's collaboratively done with the bus service at MBTA or whatnot, so.
Liz, Caleb, can you look into that, please, and see if that's something that, we can collaborate? Because that would be lovely.
I know that the MBTA does have bus stop standards, like a standard guide for them. I know that we've asked for bus shelters in other locations around town. And, I think since we're already in contact with District 4, I think,
Okay.
it's something we can
So we
look
should
at.
be able to
but
facilitate that?
I think so. And as for a contribution, it's something that I would have to discuss with Tom Hayes in the engineering department, because they're the ones that do this work, and, it would ultimately be a contribution to MassDOT. I don't even think it would be a contribution to the town to upgrade it.
I don't think the contribution will ever filter its way down to this particular.
So I think it's, more conversations with MassDOT. Kind of.
So am I correct in understanding that if MassDOT gives the approval, it would be the preference of the town that Chick-fil-A build the sidewalk, rather than make a contribution to MassDOT?
Yeah, I don't think that the town's engineering department would want to be upgrading state highway infrastructure.
I understand.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Let's go down the line.
All right. So you're looking at the plans. I just want to make sure that we have ample notification on the ground coming up to the drive-through, because you've now cut that drive lane from 24 or 25 feet to 22 feet. And, I've seen people at the double drive-through at Dunkin' Donuts in town, they start splitting ahead as soon as they see the split. You're going to box those cars in. So while you can't control the drivers, you can suggest to them. So if you look at it, there's a one-way on the top, drive-through on the bottom. There's nothing else until you get there. That's going to be covered up by a car really fast. So, we probably would suggest having more signage painted on the ground to help guide drivers to do the right thing.
Yeah, we could certainly extend that pavement striping further up. Again, those spaces along Cambridge Street would be employee parking, so low turnover along there, but we could certainly extend that pavement striping that delineates those two lanes further up to allow that, so, yeah.
I won't echo anything that's already been said, because I had a lot of the same thoughts, but I do want to say thank you for listening to the suggestion last time and not using arborvitaes and putting rhododendrons and other evergreens in there, because they will last longer and they're more adept to our climate. I'll pass off to Jeff.
Thank you. On the center walk there, that's only 3 feet wide, and I'm concerned of bumper overhang. Is 3 feet wide even ADA compatible?
I was just thinking that.
So 3 feet wide is the minimum. These are angled spaces, so these spaces are deeper, just because when you look at, if you're pulling in as an angled space, you're not, put it this way, if they're head in, you're more susceptible to have bumper overhang because you're just heading straight in. With angled spaces, you've got a little bit more depth on one side of your vehicle, so you're not going to be overhanging
Not
a space.
even a corner, because you only have to block it a little bit and the car can't get by.
Yeah, I think that's with the site being as tight as it is, I think that's what we're trying to just, respond to some of the pedestrian comments that we've been hearing. We've got conservation on one side of our parcel, so, providing a sidewalk along the north side of the parking lot is right up against the bank that we're not able to do. On the south side of the parking lot along Cambridge Street, we've got a fairly steep slope that's existing that we're going to maintain, that's going to be hard to provide a sidewalk access for. So really, our only effort to provide that walk would be down the middle of the sidewalk, middle of the site. We can look at potentially raising it. The issue with raising it is it wouldn't be, a vertical curb that would be raising it to really protect it, as, some of the comments that I'm hearing tonight, because we do need that access for, and I can run through the truck turns, we do need that for a truck to be able to navigate through the site and exit for delivery. So if we do raise that and it is a vertical curb, it's going to prevent delivery truck, it will prevent, a fire truck from making a quick, exit if they need to out of the site. So we're really trying to keep that at grade, provide, a striped walk. It's really, you're providing a pedestrian access. You look at what's happening on 10 Wall Street and a lot of mall properties, there's no real direct access. Customers are just walking down the drive aisles behind the vehicles and they're finding their way to the front door. We're providing, a striped access for them to be able to walk through and walk to the front door versus going down a drive aisle. We're just limited, in where we can provide that. And this was an area that we thought we could provide that, given the angled spaces and given the location of it.
To Adam, you may not know the answer to this. Mass DOT did their calculations and said they didn't see any significant impact. I'm just wondering, did they use just standard ITE numbers for a drive-through, or did they take into consideration the high volume that Chick-fil-A makes?
So that we presented them with the data. So Mass DOT's process, and this would be the same process if you bring on a peer reviewer. They look at our data and they determine if the way that we approached was correct, right? And they accepted that our approach was correct. And then they look at the data. The data we're presenting is from the Institute of Transportation Engineers. They do, brand new to last year, have a new land use code that is focused on restaurants like Chick-fil-A. The ITE, they can't say this is Chick-fil-A data, but they've done everything but say this is Chick-fil-A data. It's Chick-fil-A data.
So did they use Chick-fil-A traffic numbers?
So we used Chick-fil-A, essentially Chick-fil-A traffic numbers within the Institute of Transportation Engineers.
And the numbers you used are comparable to the volume that's happening in Woburn now?
Woburn is a bit higher.
But higher than what Woburn's numbers are?
Woburn is higher than the numbers used in the study that we produced, but the study we produced is aligned with average general Chick-fil-A traffic, right? That's our goal, is to represent what we can reasonably expect to happen on this site, and those are the numbers that we presented in our study to Mass DOT, that Mass DOT has reviewed, to say no significant impact.
Okay, so I think what you've heard is we're very concerned that number standards that used are not the volume that we're seeing at Woburn, and so we don't know what's going to happen if you hit Woburn numbers.
I guess, can I interject
That's my
here, if
concern,
you don't
yeah.
mind? How many parking spaces do you have at the Woburn facility?
Less. It's less than.
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head. I can try to look real quick as the meeting goes on.
Feel free to, look, should you decide, we're not going to solve or get an approval this evening. That's something you can come back with. That's a for sure. If this isn't going to be as busy as Woburn, and we have more parking spaces, you could increase that walkway right there. And we could be looking at maybe a little bit of a different model that might change some of the concerns at hand. Just throwing it out there. Don't need an answer right now. You take a look at it, and again, that's something that we can review at a later date. but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because that might be a possibility or a solution to some of the situations at
How
hand.
many spots are here? How many spots are on this plan?
So we have a total of 60 now with the parking reduction that we have. So we have 60. I just did a really quick look at from an aerial. I think Woburn's around 55 total parks. Again, a larger portion of that parking was removed when they extended their drive-through. And just to kind of remind everyone here, when Woburn opened, it was in 2019, which was a prototype that was about 3 prototypes older than what we're currently proposing here. That opened as a 2-lane drive-through entrance for ordering with a single-lane delivery. So the prototype has changed considerably since that Woburn opened in 2019.
Right.
So I guess where I'm going with that is these double drive-throughs with their kitchens operate much more efficiently, which is why the Woburn location does now have the similar upgrades that this site has, which is the 2 lanes, from basically entrance to exit.
Right, but I imagine, as a nationwide company and somebody, personally, somebody who's been in real estate for 25 years, you have different models and different measurements for different communities. It can't be the same. I mean, it's not a copy-paste scenario for every single Chick-fil-A, is it? At this point? It's impressive.
Keep in mind, there's Chick-fil-A in the mall, too, so a lot of people are going to go.
I love Chick-fil-A. You couldn't pay me enough to drive to the mall, bring my kids there, park, drag them in, fight them both, walking by the ice cream shop, the stuffy shop, and everything in between, to go get my grilled chicken nuggets. It's not going to happen.
There could be less people, is
still
what
not
I'm
finished.
trying to say to you, because it's so close.
Correct.
I would say the mall,
But that is a big concern, that they could lose some of that business because there is another Chick-fil-A, and to keep in mind, I don't think this one is going to do the numbers of Woburn.
I would say that the mall's its own ecosystem. To your point,
100%.
people aren't gonna, it's not gonna cannibalize from there. If it cannibalizes anywhere, it's gonna be Woburn. But there's separation between you and Woburn, even though it's not a long distance. We live in a dense, busy area of the country. So it is gonna be its own beast in many ways. Maybe it won't hit Woburn numbers, but if it does, and I think I've heard this, can it handle it? Can the streets handle it? Can Wall Street handle it? Because that's my biggest concern, is Wall Street.
I think we have to reiterate the same thing we say constantly. We are not just planning for now, we are planning for the future. As Burlington continues to grow and our population continues to grow, we need to be cognizant of how things are operating, how it affects the community, how it affects the traffic, how it affects taxes, everything that there's so many components that come into play when we're looking at these applications. And I think that sometimes we need to take a step back and say, okay, this isn't just Chick-fil-A now. This is what Chick-fil-A is going to look like 20 years from now, 40 years from now.
And I would add to that Chick-fil-A is, we don't want to be a car-based community completely. It is a car-based environment with a drive-through. That's part of it. That's fine. And furthermore, as the world's changing, malls are becoming less popular. Burlington's mall is stuck around. It's thriving. It continues to grow and draw more people. It's made the area a magnet to come to. So you're going to get more people driving in. You're going to get more people driving through and coming here. So your point of the future, as we evolve as a region and a society, we're going to continue to be a magnet, is the way it's looking. So we got to keep that in mind, that there's increased traffic.
Thank you.
If I may continue.
Please, I'm sorry.
I too have great concern about the safety of the drive-through, people standing in the drive-through, either taking orders or delivering food. I won't go through more details. I think Barbara covered it. But I have great concern about teenagers standing in a drive-through with people. The drivers are a concern. So that's a very strong position that I'm taking.
And we understand, we heard, a similar comment during the sidewalk. I will say this is a drive-through, so they are slowly, navigating through the drive-through. As you enter the drive-through, there is this larger dark shaded canopy here. There are 3 columns within this striped area here. Again, this is the team member striped area here. So there are 3 large visual columns there as you enter the drive-through.
that do, for team members to be in that zone, there is some protection there. Again, it's not a wide open highway where cars are flying 30 miles per hour through this drive-through. They are slowly navigating through the drive-through. There are team members at the ordering area and then team members at the meal delivery, both areas where vehicles are stopped, waiting for their meals to be delivered. The team members are trained. They're heavily trained. They're
What training
wearing.
do the drivers go through as they approach?
I'm sorry?
What training do the drivers go through as they approach? Yeah, you can't control the drivers.
You can't, correct.
The people are slowing down, just so
I'm going to
you know.
send you guys
I don't care if you hit them at 5 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour.
I'm not going to debate whether or not it's safe, it's not. Again, that's part of our vote, it's part of the peer review. I mean, I will say, I just got a new car, and I don't have that shifter in the middle anymore. I have that little knobby thing. I can't tell you how many times I keep my foot on the brake at all times until I can see whether I'm in drive or reverse, and I'm not a bad driver. But it's just, things happen. People make mistakes. And I'm not saying I'm swayed one way or the other. That's a perfect example of you could train your employees all day long. And I got to tell you, I almost drove into a Brahma pool the other day because I thought I was going in reverse, and nope, I was in drive. Thankfully, again, still learning the vehicle because it's something different for me. But you don't know how many other people are in that same situation.
If I could say, I will say, I think that's what makes us unique, though. That interaction, that face-to-face interaction, it sets us apart from a McDonald's. And I sat up at Woburn today, I had lunch up there. I sat during the busiest peak lunch, watched how efficient they operated, watched the team members in their high-vis yellow, going door to door, interacting with customers. I understand the concerns, but when I'm in the restaurant, I love being out there. I love being able to talk to a customer. That's kind of what sets us apart instead of pulling up and say, I'll have a number one. All right, see you at the window. No, hey, how are you? Can I get a name for the order? Oh, hey, Barbara, how are you? How's your day? What can I get for you?
I understand.
It makes a big deal. So that's just I guess I just need to understand, we're talking about a peer review, we're talking about a lot of stuff, but if that, I don't know that that's a hurdle just because that's what we do. That's kind of like a number one with two pickles.
Are you willing to share data about employee injuries?
I don't know. I don't have that data. Obviously,
somebody at your company must have that data.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it happens. It happens, I could go for a jog in the morning on Cambridge Street and a distracted driver could come over the sidewalk and hit me.
Just jog in the bike lane, you'll be fine.
You're right. I think that, you're going to have that. We've got 3,000 restaurants across the country. It's going to happen somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm not.
But I think that human interaction is what makes the second drive-through function, right? If you don't have the people working and serving the food, taking the orders, that second drive-through is not usable. So it basically takes the second drive-through out of.
I understand your
Okay.
model, and I understand how it works and why you want to continue with the model that works for you. And I just have a different risk threshold than you do.
Okay, so let's.
Can I just add one thing to her risk threshold?
If you're going to start calculating numbers, no.
Well, I am, because.
Of course you are.
The risk threshold is one thing, but nothing works in a vacuum, right? So Chick-fil-A is a restaurant, and if, let's say they had 100 accidents in a year, well, you'd have to take a look at the 100 accidents in a year divided by how many vehicles did they do. Now, you take that number and you compare it to the Burlington Mall. How many pedestrian accidents are happening in the Burlington Mall, and how many total cars went through the Burlington Mall? So now you have a way to compare it. And then you take the next step is you take a look at, what's this one?
Greg, it doesn't
Capital
matter how
Grill.
many numbers you provide.
It's the
I understand.
relationship. What you have to pay attention to is the relationship of the accidents to the number of vehicles.
I understand
It
that.
may actually be safer
And
than
you-
walking through the mall parking lot.
You could tell me it was 14 out of 5,000, or I should say, you could tell that to Barbara. And I'm not trying to speak for Barbara, but I'll make it pretty simple. Your voice is your voice is your vote, and that's plain and simple. You can give her all the statistics in the world. This is the hill she's dying on.
Right, but if just using that number, if Chick-fil-A had 14 per 5,000, but the Burlington Mall had 16 per 5,000, where would she rather have her kid work?
Probably neither of them. And
No,
that
Would
is
you-
my-
would you
no,
now close the
My
Burlington
kid is
Mall?
not going to stand outside in the parking lot at the
But
Burlington
if
Mall.
it's safer,
Folks,
it doesn't matter. It
Guys,
doesn't matter.
let's
It would
move
be
on.
safer for them to work in the Chick-fil-A than the Burlington Mall.
That's a hypothetical, you've
This-
drawn a
But
conclusion.
that's what we're talking about, our hypotheticals.
No, we're talking
That's
about
all we're
actual
talking-
data where kids
Right,
got pinned between
but
two cars.
the actual data,
All right,
in a
folks.
vacuum doesn't do you any good.
We're done, we're
need
we're done with
relationships.
this. This is not, we're not solving this problem. You're not changing
I'm
people's
just-
minds. Your voice is your vote. That's enough.
Chick-fil-A.
Let's move on. Tony Ann, do you have anything else you'd like to add that doesn't have anything to do with the drive-through? No. Thank you. Thank you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to discuss, other than the drive-through?
Other than drive-through?
Anything new to add?
No, I don't want to talk about the drive-through.
Is there anything new?
Yeah,
you'd
I would like
add?
to address the walkability.
Okay.
Right? And I read Melissa's document and where this location is.
Can you pause for a second? Is that document available for the public record to reference?
It is, it's in our online permitting system.
Thank you. I just want to make sure for the people at home who haven't read the document, if they wanted to go back and they can reference that.
I am all for the walkability, but in order to make this whole section of town walkable, would take a lot more than what Melissa's talking about here, because the way this property is currently set up, the first place you would try to make it walkable would be to connect it to the Target and the Total Wine behind it. And right now, that's really not an option from this location. So I would not in any way, shape, or form delay this for the sense of walkability, because the walkability would be a much longer process.
I agree with that.
I actually read Melissa's statement differently than you did, though. Perhaps I misunderstood because I don't have it in front of me. My takeaway from it wasn't that Melissa wants to find a way to make this area more walkable. I took away from it is that this business coming in makes it less walkable. It actually takes us in the opposite direction of where we're trying to go. That's the way I took her statement. But actually, you reminded me of something that we haven't talked about, and that was the desire path that we talked about when we were on the site walk. We went back and looked at it, and I don't know if you've given any consideration to that. It's not really on your site, it's
It's on disposal.
It
Connects the two sites. I mean, it's an informal path that exists.
right, and we
behind.
talked about whether or not it should be formalized. We didn't really come to any decision. I don't know if you've given that any more thought.
We really haven't. I mean, I think that, there's a few different paths that are back there now that folks use if they want to walk back to, I mean, it's in the back of Total Wine, and it's the back of the 10 Wall Street building. So, I think it functions pretty well today, to be honest with you, in terms.
Well, you said you haven't given it much thought.
Yeah.
We're not going to finish today. Let's
Right.
give it some thought.
Okay.
About how you'd like to handle it.
I think that we have a lot of things that we need to discuss. Are you willing to provide an answer whether or not you'd be willing to move forward with a peer review at this time, or would you like to circle back with staff and then you can let us know kind of where you stand?
Yeah, no, I think that, look, it's kind of catching us by surprise. We weren't aware of it, because at the last meeting, I think there was discussion on another application about doing a peer review, but it didn't come up for this one, and I thought, just given the fact that the traffic study was submitted to Mass DOT and they needed to review it, that provided some comfort. So, but I've already said that, right? So, but, one thing that I think we are concerned about, I mean, we can't eliminate the model that Chick-fil-A has in terms of having personnel, employees that are in the drive-thru. That is what they do. That's part of their business. So we're happy to, well, I shouldn't say we're happy. I think we're agreeable to a peer review, but we don't want to, I guess, waste money on it if, there's a feeling amongst the board that, that's just a non-starter. I mean, I mean, look, You can Google just about anything, and you're going to find an incident somewhere, right, for anything. And I think that Board Member Ryan's point is a very valid one, is that, you know, the number of, they pride themselves on their employees, what they do, safe operations, and they, respectfully, they know what they're doing. You can never eliminate.
No, you can't.
Absolutely all
I
risks.
take your point. I have a different risk threshold, that's all.
I think that we've kind of beaten a dead horse on this one. I think it's, where we stand right now is the majority has requested a peer review. I think there's other comments that need to be discussed. I will request this for you, publicly. When you join our meeting, I would like a representative from the landlord and from Chick-fil-A going forward, as you are tonight. But I know that wasn't the case during the walkthrough. And it makes it really difficult. It's my understanding that the landlord's doing the build-out, so that we're just all on the same page. We don't have to keep going back and forth. We can, expedite this application as swiftly as possible.
I appreciate that.
That's all.
And that was my fault.
That's my own.
I let staff know I had to be in Buffalo that day.
Look, I've been in your shoes a million times,
Yep.
and if you're online, I'm okay with that. I think because there's so many questions, there's so many moving parts, and there's a lot of people that are really hyper-focused on this application, to be honest with you. If all of the necessary parties or representative from all parties are involved, or at least present, I think that helps the process. So, we can help you, you can help us, and it just makes things a little bit smoother.
Just with the peer review, would it be possible to, obviously, we'd like to expedite that. and
Sure.
Get it
Yes.
going. I mean,
Yes.
maybe,
Yes.
Liz, Caleb, we could have a conversation tomorrow,
I
if
think-
possible, just on the, I don't know, what firm, and just confirming the scope so that we
Yes,
can move forward.
absolutely.
So-
We can definitely be in touch tomorrow about that.
Okay,
Absolutely, Mark.
so that being said, we're obviously not going to make our August 6th meeting.
Tomorrow it's got to be before 12:30.
Yes, yes. I will be in the office tomorrow before 12:30.
You're checking our hours there, huh?
Excuse me?
I don't wake up before 12, no, I'm just kidding.
Tiny thing.
Yes.
Does the
I don't get
applicant
up
have
then,
this
but-
note about a manhole from DPW?
I think
Yeah,
all of,
They have it.
that's something
all
that,
of
They've got all that.
Yep.
okay.
Thank you.
I
that's-
noted those things as well. Just curious, and this really has nothing to do with them, I'm just asking you folks, could you take a look at the dimensions on that, the split, the double drive-through on Dunkin' Donuts on Wynn Street? I'm just interested just to see what those dimensions are
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And how they really here. While they don't have people outside, there is a double drive-through.
But it goes down to a single lane.
I understand that. I didn't ask that. I asked what the dimensions are for the existing property.
Okay.
I think it's just helpful just to kind of look at how different retail operations have done similar double lanes. That being said, so we're not going to make it to August 6th, which is our, for peer review?
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I mean, we do have a few more weeks than traditionally. We have like an extra week in between. So, I mean, Mark, and you've had peer reviews in the past.
Yeah.
Is that,
I think if we could keep the date,
We can keep the date.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I
I
just,
think that would make sense, and then.
That's not a problem.
If we can, move it quick enough and they can review it and have some preliminary feedback or something, at least we have that option.
I like to put this out there, and just because, again, we potentially, and we get inundated with people asking the questions, what's going on with Chick-fil-A? What's going on with this application? If we put the information out there that we're doing a peer review, that we may not make it to August 6th, I don't have 45 people calling me asking, what's going on. So, I like to say these things out loud.
I'm hearing mostly excitement about it, which I hope you're hearing as well.
The one thing that I'm asking is I want a separate gluten-free fry later. Can you do that for me?
We got to figure out the team thing first, the team member approach.
All right. Well, we obviously have some things to work through here.
I'm only one.
I will
person on
say,
this
when that
board.
request comes in, it gives me anxiety because it messes up the whole system.
I understand
I
that,
love
but
it.
there's
I
so
get it,
many
yeah.
people in maybe more than one person in this room that would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all. Simple request. I won't withhold my vote for that. Let's put it that way.
Technical matter.
Yes.
When you read it, you had items I, J, and K, and in the
Is it all messed up? from
agenda,
the
it's
agenda?
J, K, and L.
Do we need to go through the alphabet, my friends?
Yes, because whenever we move anything in the staff report, all the numbers.
Okay.
IJK or JKL?
So let's,
J, K, and L are the agenda items.
It's, okay, so it's J, K, and L on the agenda
Yes.
is what is
I, J, and
correct
K.
numbers.
So for people
and
who
correct
may have-
numbers.
Look at the agenda online and what have you.
all right. So gentlemen, I apologize for ruffling your feathers, no pun intended, but I'm looking for motion.
I think we have to ask the
Oh, we do. Oh, we're not closing the public hearing.
No, but.
No, we're not.
And do we have anyone in the public that would like to speak on this matter? Because we don't have anyone in the room.
Okay.
That being said,
Then I would like to make a motion that we continue this matter to the planning board meeting of August 6th, 2026.
Second.
Question. Are you going to need more time than August 6th?
we already went through
They
that.
already said that.
But they did, okay.
Welcome back.
Hopefully,
6 people were talking, hearing aids on
I
year
know.
1.
Right?
Okay. Fine.
We're a fun board. You can't say, at least you can say that. All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening. Okay, so we don't have any minutes. We don't have any other matters. I kind of threw out the Cliff Notes for the Eversource. I mean, I don't know that there's really that much to discuss, other than the fact that, we met with Eversource the other night, or the other day, excuse me. Barbara and I met with Eversource with staff. Good conversation. There's a lot to discuss. I think we need to have a meeting of the minds with other members of the community. I did speak with Selectman Tigas, or Chair Tigas, excuse me. And he and I both agreed that it would be very beneficial to form a committee, and we can have 2 select board members, which we'll leave that to them. We can have 3 planning board members to be present. I would like to be a part of that. Are there any other volunteers that would like to be part of those discussions?
I would.
Jack? Anyone else?
I'd be interested, but it's
Doesn't-
on my schedule.
It doesn't have to be
So-
3.
It doesn't have to be 3. It could
You know
be,
what?
it could be interchanging.
Just because Tony Ann asked, I will volunteer.
If you start throwing out crazy numbers, I'm kicking you off the board.
Hey, you may not like them, but they're accurate.
I would like to be informed of the meetings. I don't need to be on the subcommittee, but if possible, I'll attend.
Understood. Okay. That being said,
A general comment on Eversource. We have no standing
we're
to
not
do anything.
going down that road. We're
Okay.
not doing that tonight, Jack.
All right.
May I have a motion, please?
To adjourn?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Have a good night, folks.
He wants to talk about.
Special permits for you guys.